Here we go again, ding ding. Round 4 for another Racing Post Live. Myself, Dave Orton, back with you for a fabulous Friday. Still 2 more days to cover. 5 races each day, terrestrial action from glorious Goodwood down in Sussex. What a week we have had so far. Great to have you along the way. We're going to have some more fun. First day, absolutely laughed it out the park. Second, third day, it's just carried on all the way. An alternate view for you with our sponsors, the Betfair Exchange. Okay. Who have we got on the panel? Don't forget, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, do like and subscribe. Facebook Live, get that chat sizzling up. And all your Twitter things, it's hashtag RP Live. Thrilled to say, in the middle chair today, calling the races, giving me a bit of respite, former editor of the Racing Post, Bruce Millington comes back.
Hello, Dave.
Do we call you now the former editor? Because you are back in the fold,
Has
aren't
been,
you?
yeah, whatever you like, mate. Yeah.
What do they call
Get it
former
out of the way.
presidents?
They call them president, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they do.
editor-
That's
so
true,
editor-
actually.
editor
Yeah,
Millington.
Okay, all right,
Editor
all right.
Millington.
Shout, Keith.
You can,
Yeah,
all right,
what's
you
the-
can see we're getting
editor,
out of the way.
thanks.
Betting editor, Keith Melrose, comes back with good fun yesterday, didn't we, Keith?
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Tremendous. I wasn't expecting that sort of adjective from you. That's great.
No, exactly. I'm a
What
bit
was the
dour for that
highlight?
normally. Yesterday's highlight.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, really, both thought it was a great story, wasn't it? And it was William Jarvis, but it's also redemption for Kieran Schumacher. I thought the Cutler rise before that. I thought he could have done better on both of them, but he got it absolutely right yesterday. And
Keeping it real, pretending.
Take the shine off it. Why don't you? Yeah.
you can never get too
His
happy.
greatest moment in life. Yeah, he wasn't great in the earlier race, was he?
That's it. He's got the favourite in the Stewards' Cup, of course, isn't he? Fresh. The draw is done for that. We'll talk about all the races. Of course, this is really Batash Day, guys, isn't it? Absolutely. We'll get
Hold
to
on a
that.
minute. Bruce was telling me he's never really warmed to Batash.
Yeah, that's right. I was about to say it's Batash Day until he gets beat.
Oh, I see. Well, okay, all right. You can see where this is going to go this afternoon. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty, it's day 4. He's getting the trip well. I tell you what, you're going to need to with that first race as well, Barry Orr.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Dave. It's been a great week so far. The lads in the studio have been brilliant, and you've got a good team around you again today. You've picked them well.
Yeah, Keith's doing the trading for you today. He's got double screen up. And Kate,
Right.
Barry, we always do this at the top of the show. Anyone new to the show, we're going to teach them about the exchange, basically showcase that functionality, all for charity.
Yeah, we're going to showcase the functionality exchange, like you say, and also the sports book, the difference between the two and how you can toggle between the two and use them as another weapon in your punting armory. So, yeah, and always for charity, Dave. You're correct. Yeah, always for charity. And the charity this month is retraining of racehorses.
Yes, we've got Natalie Green in tomorrow. Can't wait for Natalie to come into the studio with Andrew Mount. She's got a big part to play in that organisation, so I know she's going to be loving that. What a 2 days we've got coming for you then. And Batash Day it is. He's already the world record holder there. Spoke to Charlie Hills, his trainer, last week. He has still got 4 legs, believe it or not, Barry. But what sort of a price is he getting to now?
Yeah, he's at the 2-1 now, Dave, which is interesting because obviously he was 2-7 in this race last year. And he beat a smaller field. Glass Slippers, I think, finished second. But, he's had an interrupted preparation this season insofar as he went to the King Stand. It was his first run of the season. I'm sure we'll get to it in good time. But, he had been treated for some ailments. And he's not getting any younger. Official handicapper has him down 3 pounds to 123 from when he won off 126 last year. So he's vulnerable. This is a decent race again this year, as opposed to last year was probably a weak renewal.
I'm sensing a juicy lay here, Barry.
Yeah, but not at a ridiculous price now. At some stage, he becomes more backable than layable. So, that's we'll see nearer the time. But, yeah, at the moment, he's a lay, yeah.
Yeah, and we know what you're doing then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to... Do you wait for him to come out and go, yes, but this time... Listen, I was speaking with Paul Keeley, our colleague. We interviewed Charlie Hills last Friday, as I just mentioned, and we came off that show, me and Kills, and it was like, it all depends what turns up, what sort of price we're going to get. I didn't think we'd be getting bigger than 6-4, that is for sure. I certainly didn't.
That is true. He's 3 now on Betfair, isn't he? So, I'm not mad on it at 2-1. I might lay him 2 places instead.
Do you think it's just a deeper field than what he's using?
I think it's a better field, and I think he's 7, and I think he's,
He ran a stormer in the King Stand, didn't he? Everything else that chased the pace fell out the back of the telly. It was his first run back. He had a hold up, as Barry alludes to. Are you with Batash? Let us know. Let's get that out the way. Probably for some people this week, they've been waiting for Friday. He's won it 4 times. This will be a 5th. He's drawn in 3. Ground's all right. What's the problem? Or are you against him as well? You remember at the early parts of his career, of course, he was a right nutcase, wasn't he?
Yeah.
They gelded him. He wouldn't go in the stall sometimes. Punters don't forgive that, Keith, do they?
No, and he didn't just stop the minute they gelded him, because he was, even 3 years ago, he was still misbehaving quite a lot. He had that hoodoo at York where they had to, because he had to walk somewhere, he decided to lose his head. He's always been a bit. That's why we love him in a way. I mean, the way you could do him today, because he still has that bright speed that we saw at Ascot, you could in running lay him. You could leave a lay in running.
That's harsh, isn't it? Because he had to walk somewhere. I mean, you're on the Knaves Mile, if you don't know at York, you've got to basically walk the best part of half a mile, haven't you, to get to the track with all.
Yeah,
you can.
There's 100 runners every meeting there, and you don't hear reports very often of them losing their head, do you?
The only thing against an in running lay is that he might actually get headed early on. Maybe Art Power could.
Ornate's the one that tends to go, isn't it?
But so what I'm saying is his price is going to shorten if he's in the van and dominating, and he might not.
But those that sort of, obviously the good, I've never been the Goodwood, but the first sort of 3 to 1 furlong or 2 furlongs is a real downhill.
Yeah.
He's just going to cruise and fly down those.
It's 4 seconds, Charlie Hills was telling us. I haven't actually looked this up since I took Charlie's word as grasses between the finishing time at Ascot and the finishing time at Goodwood.
Yeah,
this is his playground, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And unlike Ascot, it doesn't go back uphill towards the end at Goodwood,
There's Google Earth tells me there's a very gradual rise.
It's not like
6
Ascot.
feet over a furlong.
That last furlong at Ascot's tough.
It's
Isn't it?
brutal,
You've never been Goodwood?
No, I've never been to Goodwood, no.
You're joking me. Oh, you've got to go. It's so lovely.
I've only been to Ascot once.
Blimey. You've got to go. You love a bit of Goodwood, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've never been to the Saturday. That's what we were saying earlier. But Keith said he'd never been. I said it is a bucket list track. Who's been to the track this week? Let us know. Get involved then. Get your chats up. The guys in the gallery, A-team there. They'll be getting you up in the social corner. We'll be giving the spotlight verdicts. Barry was, of course, showing you all about the trades. And shall we get it out of the way? We've got the longest race of the week. One of the longest races of the entire season, Barry Orr. Who's going to stay it out best?
Yeah, Grand Bazaar's been well punted in it. He's run up the same mark he finished fourth in it last year. He's 8.4 in the exchange. Smart Champion 9.2 along with Platform 19, Elysium Flame 9.4. Green Book, another horse that's been well supported, is into 11.5. Just Hubert, last year's winner, 9.8. Withhold, the Cesarovich winner, is 20. What I'm going to do first, though, lads, I fancy Withhold, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a Yankee bet which covers 4 horses that I fancy today. Ooh. We're going to do it each way for the charity. So we're going to kick off, please, Keith. Withhold is going to be the first leg of that in the 150. Mm-hmm. The second leg is going to be in the 3 o'clock. We're going to back Bedouin Story.
You have to scroll down for that one, Keithy.
Number 2, Bedouin Story. Yeah, there's been a few quid for it, actually. In the 3.35, we're going to back Art Power against the favourite there, Batash. And in the 4.10, we're going to back Mogul, who's up towards the head of the market. Now, what a Yankee is, it's 11 bets, it's 6 doubles, 4 trebles, and a 4-horse accumulator, those 4 horses. So it's 11 bets. If you do it for a quid, it costs you 22 quid. We're going to do it for 2 quid. And we're going to do it each way. So it's going to cost us 44 quid. So, like I said, it's 6 doubles, 4 trebles, and an accumulator. And we get a couple of them to click. We'll be happy days because they're all decent prices. Bar Mogul Reed, who's 5-2. So £2 each way. Yankee, those 4 selections cost us 44 quid, and it'll be a nice payday if all 4 win. So fingers crossed. But Withhold is my main fancy in the opener. I thought he ran a cracker, Dave. We covered the race in Newbury where he finished third to Scaramanga, who was a blot in the handicap, and the gambled on Rodrigo Diaz. He was giving them 15 and 19 pounds respectively, the former Cesarovich winner. I thought that was only his first run in a handicap since the Ebor. So he's got a touch of class about him. Whether he can carry the weight and give it to some of these remains open to debate, but I think he'd go well at a big price here.
Oisin Murphy on as well, a good man to have on your side. And as Barry said yesterday, you're not sure about his multiples. You're not sure about, really going heavy on one today. Think, this looks a bit of a minefield out there. Let's face it can do at Goodwood. It's a small wager bet, isn't it, to just give you a bit of interest for the day.
I love a multiple, and particularly at big meetings, because
you do love a multiple.
Offer decent places.
Yeah. Have you had any come up recently? Anybody?
I had one at Ascot, and all the horses looked like they were finishing well back, but they were just about getting in 6 and 7 places, and it comes to money, if you get a few outsiders. So no, I always love a little multiple. I think it's a good way if you're a small stakes punter, it's a chance you've got. There's a mixture of, you can get anything. If you get a win in a couple of places, you can cover your stake. But if you do happen to smash it and get all 4, you can really win thousands. So it's it's a bit of a lottery bet as well. I like it. You've obviously got to keep your stakes sensible, but I do love a multiple.
Well, we'll be getting very excited if it comes up to the 4-10 and Mogul is the reliant leg. Let's just get this.
We could be cashing out.
You do cash out, Barry. That's a terrible.
Oh, listen, let's get this. The first head-to-head of the day.
What's happened to you this week? You're such a wise out, and you fancy Mogul, the most regressive horse in training.
Barry, that's nearly the nap, isn't it?
What have you heard?
That's my nap. Yeah, that's my
What
nap
have you
for the day.
heard?
I think
You're brilliantly
he's
connected.
a double Grade 1 winner in against Group 3 horses that shouldn't even be called Group 3 horses. Don't worry, he won't be far away today.
There you go. All right, so that's best bet in the last race, the 4-10 for Barry. Last time he was down at this track in this grade, it was a win. He's not favourite though. Passion and Glory is taking it off, and if he comes back to his best, but he's got to come back to his best. Lots being said about Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien again this week. But Keith, talking about best bets, let's go back to the opener, because would you believe our best viewed clip yesterday on social media was you talking about your best bet of the week, which runs in the 2 mile 4.
Yeah, it does. It's Smart Champion. He's been Bruce was the first man that heard that I fancied Smart Champion.
Told me that last Friday.
Did you get involved then?
No, because it wasn't entered.
It wasn't entered at the time.
No, but there was no, of course, yeah.
And I forgot.
That's that's what I was trying to cover that. But of course, this is one of those weeks where it's not like Ascot, is it? Where every race is anti-post. You know, there was quite some.
This was anti-post on Monday. I was a little bit surprised to see it, but it is a bit of a destination race. There's not many of races like this. You've got the Ascot Stakes itself. You've got the Queen Alexandra, which is a conditioned stakes for horses that need an extreme trip. This is one of few options. So there's a few horses that have been plotted here. Just Hubert, who won it last year, Grand Vizier. In fact, the first 4 from last year are all back in this year's race. I think Green Book's been plotted up to the race a little bit as well. But Smart Champion is £6 lower than when he finished a length third last year, and also has £5 off through Safi Osborne's claim. She has a very good value claimer. I know some people will tell you every claimer is value, but Safi Osborne genuinely is value for her claim. And she's. I just think he's got an awful lot going for him.
He's had 4 runs here at Goodwood, one as you alluded to in the race last year, but he is a horse that you can scream at the telly at, right?
Well, he can, yeah, especially when, he's not been ridden by Jamie Spencer for a wee while, but he's
Even Luke Morris got on him one year though, Bruce, and he was like halfway off the rest of the field. Even the penetrating Morris, you know. So
yeah, I'm looking for the horses up front to go at each other.
There's a lot of pace in this race, isn't there, to give you a bit of hope on that front.
Yeah, exactly, and I'd like to see them go quite hard. And
no stalls, of course, the flag, isn't it? So
yeah, they start right in front of the stands,
Salisbury. They do, absolutely. Bruce?
I'm going with King Rafe, Buriram.
Who,
when Keith walked in, I told him my fancy, he said that's the biggest non-stayer of all time. But
doesn't stay at mile 6.
To give you some hope.
Hear me out. He pulls. He pulls like, to quote someone, George Clooney on a stag weekend, and still runs well. Okay, and I love a horse that gets a decent placing after pulling like mad, because I think pulling is one of the most underrated reasons for a bad run.
You suggested that when you go on a stag do, instead of dressing up as a sheikh or something like that, or I don't know, a female or a male or whatever you do on your hands, we should just put George Clooney masks on. That would be the way. Is that what you're punting out? It's bomb-proof.
I'm regurgitating someone else's saying. I'm not trying to claim that for myself.
It's a Millington one, if ever I've heard one.
No, it's not. It's someone else.
Buriram, SDS usually rides him. He's on Cleonte, of course. Rob Hornby on, no problems with that.
The point Buriram, like I say, he's pulled and got decent placing, so he's competitive even on that. If he settles early today, then I think he can do. They can put up an improved run. So that's the one for me.
He's bigger than I thought he was. That's for sure. He's drifted out a little bit, hasn't he? Okay,
42.
Yeah, that's
what an insight. I mean, anything I tip that's trained by King Rafe shouldn't be 42, should it?
Did you get on the double on the first day?
No, I didn't. And I'll tell you what. By the way, Angel Blue is another one. If you saw that run at Ascot 3 days earlier, it was pulling like mad and still almost won. So there's a good example there. So hopefully it can repeat the dose here. It's nice to have Keith's ringing endorsement. But,
yeah, well, what sort of endorsement are you going to give me for Call the Wind there? 2 that I like here. Call the Wind I've got on top.
I'm looking down. I can't see a horse called Call the Wind.
Calling the Wind.
Straight away.
First blow is in.
Cannot take your eye off the ball.
We've already been out for a lunch here today. We've got a bit of a story about that for you. And he was giving me a little bit of a dig on the way down there as well. It's going to be a fun day. Calling the Wind. Thank you. Call the Wind is, of course, to Freddie Edstayer, isn't it? Who was an unprofitable project of mine. This chap showed his worth at the Royal Ascot when 3 lengths off Stratum in the Ascot Stakes. No Stratum here. He's gone up a couple of pounds for that. Pat Dobbs, if he can sit up there, I think he's a strong travelling horse. I could just see this in him. But I do see the Green Book angle as well. I absolutely do. You want a horse in the 80s for this, and he went a little bit too wide, Green Book, didn't he, Keith? Ascot, he did a little bit too much too soon.
The main thing with him really is that he's only been with Venetia for 3 runs so far. He was
one run over hurdles is something to look forward to, isn't he, in the winter?
Well, that's true. Yeah, he got basically aimed at that Chester Cup consolation race.
I'd say they had it off that day.
I think they fairly did.
Yeah.
And then he's floundered a bit in heavy ground next time, and then I was in a tipping comp, and in the last leg you always put up a 50s chance in Cape, but he was the 50s chance that I thought was going to run well in that race. I put him up in that, and he's
gave you a bit of hope.
He did seem to excel himself, as did Calling the Wind. Now that's the thing with Calling the Wind. Can you believe that form and take it as face value? It's a conditioned stakes, it's an extreme trip. If you can, Calling the Wind's got a great chance, and Green Book's got just as good a chance as well. There is a little element. With Green Book, you can believe it. He's not as exposed to that to any degree the same way. Calling the Wind is just very steadily progressive, if you believe.
Relatively early days of Calling the Wind as a stayer, though, isn't it? 1 run over 2 miles, decent second to Rochester House. We know about Rochester House in this course in this race, and I just thought, it was a blinding run up against, let's face it, Willie Mullins. Ascot Stakes just wins them, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that Stratton was the sort of right winner of that race. He's a better horse than
Queen Alexandra, sorry, wasn't it?
It was the Queen Alexandra, yeah. The Ascot Stakes was Rashun, wasn't it? That
yes,
massive price.
MC Muldoon, who won last night.
Got a
Galway, didn't he?
Yeah. Did that win last night?
Over hurdles, yeah. There is your Cesaro winner, by the way. All right, Barry, it's hot. We're going to have to sort of be right on the pedal on the metal when they start in. No stalls, of course, Barry, since we've been talking. Elysian Flame, I thought he was going to go off favourite. Doesn't look that case now.
Well, he's 8 on the exchange, so he's favoured on the exchange just ahead of last year's winner, Just Hubert, who's 8.6, 9.2 the Grand Vizier, 10 Smart Champion, 9.6 Platform 19. He's a really interesting runner. Have you spoken about him yet?
We haven't. He's a winning machine. When he came back 17 days ago, he completely went missing, Keith, didn't he?
He had like 500 days off and came back after, because we were looking at the race beforehand. How do we rate this horse? Well, you can't do anything, can you? Yeah. And then he's come out. There was a horse called the Golden Eagle or something, a Mark Johnson horse that he beat that I thought was a bit of a good thing, and he smashed him. Yeah. So this horse is clearly...
If he wins this, we're looking at a group...
any bounce theorists would absolutely would be licking their chops over Platform 19. It is 17 days on from his first run in 500s.
It's a big boing over him, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't forget, boys, as you say, Dave, no stall, so they will just jump off any minute. It's all a bit random, isn't it?
Should we get some social interaction going? Who's going to open the show on this fabulous Friday? Let's see who we've got. Platform 19, the Spotlight verdict there, you can see. Chris Dimms, welcome back, Chris. Afternoon, everyone. 2 each way against the field in the first. Smart Champion with Keith, and sticking with Dave Orton on Calling the Wind as well. Well done, Chris. Lovely jubbly. You've had a chat, and then Frizzy Red comes back. Barry is the nap. I'm with Barry all day long.
Almost
much
off.
Better than this lot. So Bruce,
almost
what
off.
are we talking about? All right, the flag is up.
It's windy, isn't it?
Come on, they can't start this. I mean,
no, they don't. No. You can't start this.
It's awful. Oisin Murphy, what are you doing, man?
Full start.
Guess who's out the back, Keith?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, Just Hubert.
Oh no, hang on.
Out the
Just
back.
Hubert's planted there. That's
he's
no
not.
good,
He wasn't going anywhere.
That one. That was no good. It's very windy and dull today. Doesn't look particularly wet, so the ground might actually have dried out a little more than anything
God's
else.
Racecourse, they call it, don't they? But we've all been there. Well, bar Keith.
I've never heard it called that.
Well, because you couldn't see it's God's country, isn't it?
Sounds made up, that.
No, it's not.
Never heard anyone
I was in
call it
Australia. They were like, "Tell me about Goodwood." Oh, that's a
What, you bumped into the South African bloke, did you?
Oh, that was coming. I got my father-in-law with me here.
This Brinda's into their face up the straight as well.
Yes, it is. I was going to say that flag, when he raised the flag, was blowing. Yeah,
you want, come on, Smart Champion.
Yeah, you want
something
something
out the wins.
cover,
Oh, he's the one that's okay. Yeah,
Just Hubert doesn't fancy it. He's not normally reluctant, is he? He does not fancy this at all. I wonder if because they're standing by the crowd there and right by the, he's got off now. He's actually being pushed, literally.
He's not unfancied last year's winner as well. You can see that Ray Dawson
is desperate for this to happen, isn't he? Yeah.
You've got some time still to play in the first race. It's the 150.
Got to jump back on.
It's a good crowd there today.
Yeah, decent crowd, yeah, lovely. It's so nice to have crowds back.
I was going to say that when you're at Goodwood and it chunders down, you've got to be savvy to find some cover, haven't you? Because there's not a lot of it.
Yeah, I'll tell you later about the day when Here Comes When won the Sussex Stakes. The wettest day of my life. It was absolutely ridiculous and the most miserable because I backed Ribchester. But anyway, they're almost off. Will Just Hubert deign to join them? Also out the back is Keith's Smart Champion. The flag is down. No, he's dug himself in. And also Smart Champion. Smart Champion. Safi Osborne's given that 10 lengths. If you want to be out the back, that's fine, but don't start 10 lengths back. Start with them and then ease off. Anyway, Just Hubert is not there. So they set off on their 2 mile, 4.5 furlong journey. What's that done to the market then? Just Hubert coming around. There'll obviously be a deduction, won't there? And if you backed it, you get your money back.
Well, he's counted as a runner on the exchange, I think.
That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, sorry.
This is
the runner on the exchange.
This is the awful thing. Like when you're there. I mean, I've been in point-to-point fields. I've been at Cheltenham. I've been at Goodwood, probably this race, and you're like, how can that possibly be?
At least if you saw him being mulish, I suppose you had a quick chance to cash out.
Well, that's right. You did. He was going to go a favourite at one point, but his Betfair SP was 11.6 in the end. He moved out about 3 points in that last minute because he was playing up.
Anyway, they've headed up the straight, down which they'll come in about 3 minutes, and it's Withhold up front with Green Book very prominent, and also up on the outside, number 2. That's the Grand Vizier. Up on the inside, we've got Thai Terrier going well. Smart Champion right out the back, Keith. Are you bothered, or is this what you expected?
Well, Safi Osborne has got right onto the back of the main field again, and she did it while she had a tailwind, which might be it might have negated the effect that had. So I expected him to be here, to be honest, and I might not like it, but I was prepared for it.
The pace doesn't look brutal, does it, Dave? 35 miles an hour. It looks pretty sensible, doesn't it?
A couple of pulling as well. Oshin Murphy and Andrea Atzini.
Oh yeah, it's Buriram pulling. That's
right.
A good
Oshin Murphy's not pulling. He's going grand out.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Is that Withhold?
You're looking behind Rochester House, calling the race. He's keen.
Buriram's about third last.
Green Book, definitely keen.
Yeah, Withhold is dictating a gentle pace, which Barry's got to absolutely love. In second is Green Book. Putting a bit of an injection of pace here is Rochester House. Braveheart. That one takes it up now.
That one led most of the way last year.
Terriers in fourth. We've got Le Grand Vizier in a prominent position.
He's thinking
we've also got Calling the Wind.
First-time blinkers.
Yeah, he's lit up now, isn't he? Now all of a sudden the complexion's changed because the pace has gone right up. They were doing 34 miles an hour and they went up to 37. Because they're going uphill, that's dropped down to 31. But the pace has definitely been injected and this thing's opened up a couple of lengths lead. What price is he now, gents?
Rochester House
22.
is currently trading at 22. The Betfair SP at 27. I think it's just with the HUD's first-time blinker seems to have got him a bit keen.
This horse went real close, didn't he?
Yeah, just got wheeled in last year.
He was second, a similar performance to this, so you don't want to let him go.
He's pulled up. Oh, he's gone. Where's he going? Has he gone the wrong way or has he...
Yeah, he's gone wrong. He's gone
wrong. That's really sad. OK, so Withhold resumes the lead. Green Book is back in second. The Grand Vizier is up there in fourth. Then in third. Then we've got Thai Terrier. Also very prominent is Sensational. Also prominent is Calling the Wind. In the yellow and green, Everything for You is going well. Who Dares Wins is going OK. I mean, there's nothing in trouble. And your Smart Champion's latched onto the back of the group now, Keith. So who's fav, guys?
It's 7 each of 3 of them here. Platform 19, Smart Champion. Green Book is 7. Calling the Wind is 7. And which of his disadvantage is it going to be to Oshin Murphy being first into that headwind to Pearson?
Yeah, you want a bit of cover. You want to do a bit of slip.
See who's catching my eye, guys? Platform 19.
I was going to say.
And Coeur de Leon
going very nice.
Royal Ascot winner last year. He's creeping into it.
He is. We know he stays, no problem. Out the back, being scrubbed along, is Cloud Gate. Gary Moores. A few people fancied that, but he's been rowed along. Safi's still last, but she's playing a waiting game. They've got, 5 furlongs to go now. They're at the top of the hill. They're heading down.
Here comes the champion.
Here comes Safi.
Finally winding up.
Yeah, but she's had to sort of pull out, and she's not got her cover anymore because she's had to pull out. I hope that doesn't affect
things.
things.
Buriram?
Elysian Fields at the back.
Buriram's going all right, Bruce. He's on the inside. Can you see him?
Yeah, I've noticed that, yeah. Withhold just coming under a bit of a ride now. Green Book is absolutely sauntering now. Surely Green Book's favourite. The Grand Vizier's on.
Look at Pat Dobbs on Calling the Wind as well. He's absolutely cruising.
Green Book and Calling the Wind.
Platform 19 trying to stay on. Green Book now.
This is the Royal Ascot fight.
Here's Calling the Wind.
Come on, the Wind. Blow him away.
Cruising. Calling the Wind looks like he's just joined in. And he looks like he's going to take over at any minute. Withhold is not going down without a fight. And now they're all under it. And it's Withhold and Calling the Wind.
On the Wind.
It looks like it's between Here comes Elysian Flame. He's not going to get there. Calling the Wind jumps off in front.
Off he goes.
They go into the
coming back.
Takes a 1-length lead. Make that 1.5. Make that 2. Calling the Wind wins. Withhold runs on brilliantly for second. Green Book and Elysian Flame for third. But Calling the Wind... Well played, Dave, off and running.
Kills like that as well, I believe, in the Sizzlers today in your members section and the paper. Great call, Bruce. The right horses came to the fore. Barry Orr.
Yeah, Green Book traded short in running 2.2. Green Book traded at, can you believe, for 129 quid. Withhold That traded at in running. Just give me 2 seconds here. Smart. Platform 19. Your eye was drawn to that trade at a low of 5-2. Whole host of horses in there. I just can't find for some reason Withhold. Oh, here we are. Withhold traded a low of 5.2, which I thought it would have been shorter than that. What else was there at the finish, lads?
Elysian Flame.
Elysian Flame came from
Elysian Flame traded a low of 6. That was about as short as it got. You could call the winner a long way out once the horse in red, Green Book, kind of folded. He travelled well into the race, traded short, but Withhold has stuck it out really well, giving chunks away the way again.
He really has. That was a great
got a place
run.
in our multiple, thankfully.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as staying handicap form goes, this is top stuff, really, Keith, isn't it? These are all the horses that we're going to be seeing in the big races. I mean, you obviously think of the Cesarewitch from here, don't you?
You would, yeah. It's the only sort of race you've got if you're this sort of horse. And what you've noticed is that a lot of the horses that were in the frame there had been up all the way through, which means you can probably mark up Elysian Flame. Well, that's how he's always ridden, I think. But that horse has improved. He had some really good form actually at Newbury. He won at a big price, and then after that he had form with, I forget the name of the horse, but a really progressive one where he became clear with that horse.
Almiguar.
Yeah, that's right. The horse that won the London Gold Cup, didn't it?
The Shadwell
the
horse.
Gold Cup. The word Kempton, the mile 3 is at Kempton. Anyway, that is
Rosebery.
got good. Yeah, the Rosebery. That's the.
It's all up there, isn't it?
It is indeed. Well, some of it is. So there's quite there is quite a bit of that's quite a strong bit of form, and Elysian Flame is the one that's definitely shaped better than the result for me.
Funny race, wasn't it? Sad moment when Rochester House, it's his race, isn't it? We'll get some news as soon as we can about him. It's a steady pace. Has that caught out the early? Has the early pace scenario caught out those that were held up? Because those that got the first run from 3 furlongs, they dominated the finish, didn't they?
Yeah, look, we're watching it on the first run down the straight. Withhold's in the lead, Grand Vizier's in second, Green Book's in third, in fifth is the winner.
Calling the wind.
Elysian's only got one behind him.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. Has he run massive? Yeah.
He has run a big race. That's how he tends to be ridden, but he has run a massive race. And yeah, the fortune was very much with those ridden prominently. It tends to be the way, but you don't have to see it here, and Elysian Flame deserves marking up quite significantly on that result. He is obviously a progressive horse, and the speed he's gone off this year, I think he's surprised his yard, to be honest. Mick Easterby yard, and they usually know exactly when one's improving like that, but he's taken them by surprise a little bit this year, and can hopefully do it again.
He has jumped, hasn't he? He's got 118 over hurdles, so a lot of these will be thinking maybe dual purpose, won't they? The Grand Viziers, or maybe not, I don't know, he's a bit quick for him almost even.
the winner hasn't settled too well, early on. It's a good performance, and I'm really pleased for Richard Hughes because he's a great guy, and he's shown he can train. But he just needs to get a few more of these big.
Not the sort of horse you'd associate with Hughes, is it?
No.
More like his dad, his late father Des, isn't it? So
he'd be delighted about that.
yeah,
Hughesy. Don't worry about
he
that.
always wears a tie when he thinks he's going to have a winner at the track. Hughesy, that's one of his things. I always see him.
right?
Yeah, I know. That's his thing. If you ever see Hughesy smart at the racetrack, he's expecting maybe an interview or something like that. That's an old school Hannon type thing. Yeah. Well, you're looking at me as if to say something like.
So are you saying, right? So he gets to his wardrobe in the morning, he puts his shirt on and he puts his jacket on and thinks, hang on a sec, that thing's unlikely to win today. That one, it's probably badly drawn. You think he's that precise?
Now let me reach for the old, absolutely, the MCG tie or something like that. He does. He puts a tie on. I know that. That's one of his things. Let's see when maybe we get to the interview. You might see him. I tell you what, we've seen a lot of cream shirts today already at Goodwood on some of the cameras. They're all getting them out.
Oh yeah, the linen suit.
Yes, I don't imagine you're a linen suit man, Keith.
I would quite like to have a linen suit. I don't own one, but my wife says you're not getting one of them. So I'm not going to pick I'm not going to pick a fight about clothes, to be honest.
I don't know, a lot of men out there, and women as well. Platform 19's run a sledger as well, hasn't he, as Barry would say, considering that was 17 days off. That is a brave effort, I think.
So it was a funny run, the Grand Vizier. Buick's on the inside, and you're thinking, come on, mate, away you go. And he just doesn't, there's not really a lot goes on, and he ends up fading. I mean, have a look in a minute. When you see him, he's the only one who's really hugged the rail, and he's never really kind of, I don't know.
He must hate jumping the Grand Vizier, doesn't he? Because he only had 4 runs over hurdles. And this is a horse that will stay,
He didn't stay
any extreme test. Very strange. Again, cheap pieces, and he's so consistent, isn't he? And got the form with Withhold and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, just an off day for him, I think. But we're off and running then at Glorious Goodwood. It is the Fabulous Friday. We've got some really interesting horses for you. Shadwell Did they have a runner in that show? Well, they didn't, did they? But they are
not their sort of thing. This Shadwell.
No, probably not. They have had some really good stayers over the years, but no, probably not.
So you look on the inside now, the Grand Vizier. He's just like, I guess Buick's just thought, look, I've given him his challenge, and there's nothing really going on now. But I'm still thinking he's prominent. He might get placed, but
he just keeps going at the same pace, Keith, doesn't he?
Does. I'm looking at a few at the back here because there's a couple in this that I think might be interesting another day. Now, the Max McCann.
Max McCann runs on for 6.
He does.
He does. He's back to the extra
course
places.
winner.
And that horse, that is a ground-dependent horse. That needs it rattling quick. So that can be marked up for him. Margaret Dumont actually ran on in the end from quite a long way back. That's a horse that needs a really long straight, but I also think is better on the all-weather, which is a really unfortunate combination.
Hampton or Chelmsford, maybe. Yeah, Newcastle's a good
Northumberland plate for her.
That's a good shout. Of course, she was second.
She was second in the Vase, wasn't she?
Of course, to Z-Band.
She was indeed. She's not getting a run there, Margaret Dumont. Either are watching the head-on now. She's not really getting a run through.
Is Smart Champion inconvenienced by being on the outside, do you think?
Yeah, she doesn't get any cover as he makes up ground. Look at Elysian Flame as he comes. He's only come out now.
Yeah.
Whereas Smart Champions had to go wide as soon as they've turned in the straight.
breeze.
Yeah, nose in the wind. If there were cyclists, they'd be roaring at him.
Yeah.
So that's. I think that has had an effect there.
We've had a lot of project horses on this show in recent weeks. Ascot, it starts. We had Keeley back on the show. Is there any big project punter than Paul Keeley? And you can always get the glimmer of hope to keep the project going, can't you?
Absolutely.
The test. There's a few of those horses running against Batash maybe earlier. Now, Shadwell, we've mentioned it. They are attacking today with a BB gun because not only Batash, they have, is it Bade? And he comes up next. Barry Orr, you said you're excited to see this chap. A lot of people, though, will be hiding behind the cover at the kind of SP. The Shadwell unbeaten horse will go off.
Yeah, he's 2s on now from 4 to 5, so he's been well found by the market, no doubt about it. On the Betfair Exchange, he's bang on 2s on as well, 1.50, and it's 14 bar, 14 El Drama, Perotto, 16 Tactical, 16.5 Rhythm Master, 22 Khartoum, and Tasman is 25. Unfortunately for each way backers here, Dave, there's a non-runner. There was the dead 8. Always happens, doesn't it? It's Sod's Law.
Yeah.
So there's only 7. So I was fancying Perotto each way, but with it being just the 7 now and only 2 places, I'm going to look at him in the without market on the exchange where he's currently trading a 4.9. I thought the 7 furlongs of the Bunbury Cup wasn't to his liking at all. I like the idea that he's stepping back up and trip here to a mile. He won the Britannia over a mile. Didn't run bad in the Bunbury Cup over 7 furlongs. Obviously, with the Cowell, that's his race. But so we're just going to have a straightforward win bet here, please, Keith. We're going to have 25 quid on Barotto at 4.9, which is just 4 to 1. I can't have Khartoum. I don't like Tactical. El Drama, probably has the best form going into it, but was ridden for a place in the Eclipse and couldn't pass any of those horses. Now, they're top quality horses, but thought that exposed his limitations. So Perotto in the without market for me, but the favourite is a very, very good horse.
Yes. Okay, where do we go with this? Can we just stick in the without market for a minute, Bo? Because one you didn't mention, who, again, I haven't played in this race yet. I was getting ready to do it, and I would have backed Rhythm Master each way. Rather annoying, there's only 7 now. What's Rhythm Master in the each way market? This is easier for him.
5.5, 9 to 2.
Yeah, that is definitely making some appeal for me, without question. Talk to me about Bade then. When did Bade come onto your radar, guys?
For me, it was just before the Newmarket run. It was a case of, is this horse as good as they're all saying? And he answered quite emphatically yes, didn't he? Proper horse. One horse, frankly. Just
Bruce, unraced at 2, and, I think when he won it at the July course, was that when Royal Ascot was on? It might have been, wasn't it? It was away
it was Royal Ascot.
Away from the madding crowd is what I want to say.
Definitely, yeah.
Even though all eyes were on Royal Ascot, he still made waves, didn't he? It was a brilliant performance. It's really interesting, isn't it? When you come to the middle of the season, you've got a horse like this who is absolutely all about potential. And you look at this race and think, well, it's another stepping stone. It's kind of sensible by Haggis to bring him along. But you're kind of itching to see him have his proper test. And I don't think this is going to be it. I think he'll blow these away. I hope he does. Yeah, I do. I think he's really exciting, isn't he? It was interesting that Haggis was saying that he might, if there was a ton of rain, he might not run. But thankfully, there hasn't been. Thankfully, he is. Dave, how good can he be, do you think?
Well, with you're looking at maybe a race like the QE2 if he kept on that optimal performance.
If it's ground dependent on them, they're not going to go in heavy ground. They won't go to the QE2. They'll go to the Breeders' Cup Mile, wouldn't they? Or something
Will they?
This is the trouble, isn't it? If you leave these horses, or you have to leave these horses, by the time that it comes to the absolute, the business end, it's bottomless.
All of a sudden, you're Al-Azi or you're Mahafeth, aren't you, and all that sort of thing. And has Hughesy got a tie on?
Of course he's got a tie on. He'd have a tie on if he wasn't off. It's
Listen, if he goes to Southwell and he's going to have a winner, he'll have a tie on.
I saw him once.
He's immaculately dressed.
I saw him at Lingfield once. He had a bow tie, and that thing absolutely won by 10 lengths. So perhaps
was it spinning round with lights on?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Pat Dobbs, we're just seeing Hughesy getting the prize now. How good can Bade be? That's a very, very good question. Let's get on then. Assem Atula. There you go, got it right. Batem is untouchable, right? Bruce says so. Keith Melrose.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Just yeah.
Yes, listen, I mean, where does he go if he wins this race? Really?
Can I pick some holes in him?
Go on then.
Yeah, go on.
Last time at the July course, now I got the quote through from Jonathan Harding, our roving young reporter, was on the track that day. And Jonathan never does this, in brackets underneath he went, "We've just seen a monster in the paddock." And that was Bade. Last race, he beat a horse called Maximal. I reckon quite a few horses have turned over Maximal before. Look at the field he beat against. One Ruler, who's basically just become, I don't fancy winning anymore. Legion of Honour, who hasn't really gone on with it. And this is a much, much sterner test for him.
Of course it is.
Just don't get the price.
Okay,
it's a sterner test for him, but what price is he for that race if they're on it again tomorrow? He's 10s on.
It may be, but we've given the BHA handicap has given him £15 for that. It wasn't a sensational blow the clock up time.
It wasn't. No, the time wasn't absolutely knock it out of the park. But this horse is just clearly.
We're talking about 4 to 9, 10 to 1 bar sort of thing. This is definitely overhyped. Even if he goes and does a Frankel, this is the sort of price that if you're backing this, you probably need. Yeah.
I've got to remember that the time before, Maximal had been in that ruck behind Poetic Flair in the St James's Palace.
But he's a proper second horse.
Oh, he does finish because he's a sort of mid 110s horse.
Yeah.
Those horses, if you run them in Group 1s or against Group 1 horses, guess what? They're not going to win because Group 1 horses are 120 plus. So that's why Maximal keeps getting beat. He could have run in this race without Bade. He probably won it.
On his best 2-year-old form, Rhythm Master can definitely give this a race. 2 lengths off Campanelle when he went to Deauville. Creative force. If creative force is in this.
Well, why reference that? How's that form going to come?
I think he's quite a big horse, right? And I think he's taken time to come good for himself. And I think this just sets to. I am disappointed.
You must be worried about the trip. The Archangel out of a Pastoral Pursuits.
He's never gone over it.
Yeah,
so he's going to need it. But I guess you're going to do it anyway. But he's the wrong price for me. Richard Fahey's having a really frustrating week. Did you see that Norfolk winner yesterday? Premier Power, wasn't it?
Tom Collins thinks that'll win everything.
Tom was like the most unlucky horse you've ever seen in life. Lots of people are shouting about Paul Hannigan's riding that, but let me tell you, it was not a lot Paul could have done about that.
Goodwood can make jockeys look absolutely stupid, can't it? You've got to cut people a bit of slack generally. You really do.
He made a few choices, Hannigan, and circumstance dictated they were the wrong choices. That's what happened.
Whenever you see helmet cam, and it's so good now, isn't it? And you hear the noises now. I'm amazed they managed to cling on. I'm also amazed they don't clip heels all the time. How do they not clip heels? They're in such proximity, but they're rattling along at 40 miles an hour. They've got horses all around them. It's blowing a gale.
The coverage of Oisin Murphy winning the 3-year-old handicap at Ascot was fantastic. And if anyone has really gone for a jockey that holds one up off the pace in a big field. Come on, man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That was terrifying, wasn't it, at one point. It was, and everything that can go wrong and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're quite right. Look, I just think, of course, this horse, I really hope for Mr. Haggis as well that he said, Mahafeth, the gloss has come off that. Al-Azi.
Whoa, Mr. Haggis?
Yeah, I have to agree.
What do you mean, Mr. Haggis?
William.
I remember I called it. Do you remember I called it in the early days? I called him Willie once. Don't call him that.
You can't call him Willie. No.
I just like Mr. Haggis, Mr. Millman. I call him James that comes in.
Yeah,
I don't know why. You also had a bit of a thing about me calling them by shortening their first names, like Ush or something like that.
Yeah, you do like a bit of that.
Like Jason, all that sort of thing with Watson and all that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, but I'm not having Mr. Haggis.
I'm not quite Tony Ennis levels of getting up a jockey, but. Yeah, I don't mind a good trainer. And Mr. Haggis is certainly that.
Why can't El Drama? Isn't El Drama's Eclipse run just good enough to beat everything bar the fab?
It was a free run, that, for him, wasn't it?
I mean, I take Barry's point completely about being ridden to be placed. I get that completely. But you've still got to, he's only been beaten 2.5 by the third.
I think it was ridden to finish last, wasn't he, a 4?
Well, yeah, okay, but they're still valuable. But, that is a good point, actually, because if he wasn't ridden for a place, he still would have got tailed off.
Exactly.
So you've got to actually ride him to do better than 4th.
At one point, it looked like he might get 3rd when Dave in that great eclipse we had, in that boutique eclipse as we call it, and St Mark's just came off the bridle. But yeah, look,
he wasn't beaten far, was he?
No, he wasn't, and he ran to a 1:14.
You look at the top speed figure on that race. That tells you how well the race was run, and the top speed was 54. So as that confirms, the eclipse was very steadily run, and that's when Rags finished close up. I would struggle to judge him on that myself. I would have to judge him on something else.
Well, I mean, can I not just judge the fact that he's got beat 5 lengths by the eclipse winner and 2 lengths by 2 other really good horses? I mean, isn't that a cut above this form? You can look at it and say there's only 4 runners and blah blah blah, and this is the.
But if they only ran the last 50 yards, you'd be beaten 6 lengths by these horses.
No,
we did this day last year.
You can overcomplicate.
We did this Friday last year because remember Calusi?
Yeah.
The,
I remember
the thing that
the Britannia winner that came into this, and everyone, what price did he go off for that?
Yeah.
He was 4-7.
Tilsit won that race.
Tilsit won the race. It probably all ran
Oberon
in second. Yeah, good memory. They probably all actually ran to form. But Calusi blew out totally.
Tilsit just about put my Oberon over the fence, if you remember.
The difference, of course, between Baid and Calusi, it hasn't really gone on from the Britannia, is that this isn't a different sort of test for Baid, is it? He's been used to going in the smaller fields. If anything, it will be when he gets in a bigger field that we start to worry about it.
Dave, the moral is, or the warning from that is that, we all thought Calusi was the second coming, didn't we? And he's never.
Yes.
That was.
This is still an acid test of sorts for Baid. My problem with him is, I know a lot of people, I'm sure, will be laying this horse because it's an easy lay, really, isn't it? You know what I mean? You don't have to go crazy to get a bit back. It is a short price. Perotto is interesting, Barry. He's a Royal Ascot winner, and I'm with you. You can put a line through that Bunbury Cup form, and Bunbury Cup's working out okay. It's just whether he's been on the go a bit, I suppose, isn't it, Perotto?
Yeah, I suppose so, but you could say that about a few of them in there in the without market. But like I said, yeah, I think stepping back up to the mile is really going to suit him. And the form of the race in Ascot's working out okay too. So obviously, it's one of those races. You don't have to have a bet in it. I think we're going to see a really special horse. I hope we see a really special performance from the winner. Like, he's one of the top-rated 3-year-olds in the country, and he's never ran the Group 1. So that just shows you, that just gives you some sort of indication of the talent that he has.
Barry, let's talk about then, if we are going to see a special performance, let's talk about the distance betting, because obviously Betfair have a market called How Far by Eid, and it's up to and including 3 lengths, 3 1/4 or more, or by not to win. Now, obviously, that's the same as laying him to win. But if you
personally,
go on.
I think you need your brains examined if you're having a bet in a distance market. I think there's easier markets to bet in. I think there's more. How should I put this? I think there's more logical ways of.
What if I offered
betting.
you 10-1 that he wins by over half a length? Would you back him?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
because that's a wrong price.
So there might be some value.
Bruce loves a distance bet. All our regulars know that.
Let's have a chat, because I think it's a really interesting market. You can basically just get bigger than 6-4 that he wins by up to and including 3 lengths, or you can get 9-4 that he wins by 3 1/4 or more. What would you more likely to be on there?
I'd probably go for the wider margin. I think Crowley knows now he's going to go on this horse and try.
I'm not sure. I'd go the other way.
But I'm not. It isn't a bet I would normally have myself, to be honest. But I would probably go over with him.
Okay.
I've fallen into the trap with distances over the years of going. I just see it big. I just see it big.
That's the obvious thing. That's the thing everyone does.
And I've been with you on occasions when you've backed a horse that's won, and yet all you're doing is keep pushing it out. And I feel for you.
I can accept on the second. What are you doing, man?
Do a Frankie for the places.
You're back over 12 lengths in a jumps race, and the winner's absolutely cruising on the bridle. The jockey's lit a cigar, and the fella in second, he's on his own. He's suffering from agoraphobia.
You are screaming.
He's pushing the thing up, going, relax.
You see it all the time. So that's the distance thing, I guess, Barry. It's a project, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of novelty market almost, but it can be quite lively when there's a big odds-on chance. I'm not sure that Baid is short enough to really prompt engagement with a market like this, but I'd go under because simply it's his 4th run in since the middle of June. You know, it's for a 3-year-old that's unraced since until the 7th of June. You know, 4 races in that space of time.
Yes.
It's quite a lot.
And to dip your toes into group company water, if you like, this is an ideal race, Barry, isn't it? Because it's, you know, it's a Group 3. You're up against horses that might be over the top. So Mr. Haggis's race planning yard, Williams race planning yard.
Just William Haggis.
Just William Haggis.
No, I don't mind.
Or Haggis. You know, you call somebody by their names.
Yeah, Haggis would be.
Haggis. You call them
Make you
Haggis,
think
wouldn't you?
about
It's a Haggis
few
horse.
things, couldn't it? So I'm not going to do that. This is the race planning department. They've got to go fast ground. That's what they say this horse wants. So you can't give him a break, can you? Go, right, let's build him up, because then the grounds might totally turn. You might get lucky. You might have a decent autumn, you know, and it may all, the sun may shine in September, October. Every chance, but you're taking a chance. So he has to run here, is what I'm saying. So again, I think under in the distance market has got to be the fav, hasn't it? Okay, let's get some socials on the screen. I know I have been hearing you in my ear, Will. Okay. This is getting trickier, these names, aren't they? Sup, I'm Spudder. What's up? I'm Spudder. Is that right? Who's going to get the big dub for you in this then? There's no pace in this race. Aligned we are out there, because this was going to be my next thing. No need to worry about the trip with Rhythm Master. He'll stay a slow pace 1 mile. Spudder, you're on. Is that a worry? Basically, if you are Jim Crowley, you're going to David Probert and saying, please, on Tasmanian Bay, do what you've done all season and just get on with it.
Yes.
Because we've just seen a replay of Bade's last win on the July course, and it was a fair pace for a small. He's the cruisy thing, isn't he? He's the speedier Al-Azi and Mahafeth, isn't he?
I think the thing is as well, with the headwind up the straight, you want some cover, don't you?
Yes,
really,
that's
ideally.
right.
But I mean, he's not going to sit and wait for too long.
The evidence of the first race tells you that it's not the be all and end all there.
No, you can get that. That's another thing you can get a little bit hung up on, isn't it? I mean, it's not like you mentioned cycling, isn't it? It's not like they're actually slipstreaming them. It doesn't work that way because they're on hooves rather than wheels.
It should, shouldn't it?
No, they're not getting that kind of vacuum that you get from sitting behind a
Minds being
cyclist.
blown out there.
You're
with
getting
the cycling
protected
talk.
from the wind, but you're not actually in that kind of. With a cyclist, if a cyclist sits behind another cyclist, the speed they're going, they are 30% more efficient through the air. You don't get quite that same level of efficiency with a
Has it
horse.
ever been tested? I want to test it. Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This conversation here could rage on by
Where's
the
the
way.
academic papers?
They're in the
I would
office.
honestly, I genuinely,
I'm going to say I've got it in one of my pockets.
I genuinely want to read them.
No, you can find it honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you know. Look at the cogs going
Yeah.
for Quizmaster's mind
No,
there.
it's an established thing. Cycling behind another cyclist is 30% more efficient.
Yeah,
You
that's
wouldn't be
well
that
known.
here.
So
But
finding
that's
cover in
because
this
they're on
race for
wheels.
Bade is imperative, right? And it could be a
It's not
muddling
imperative,
race.
but it's a bonus, isn't
Yeah,
it?
all right. I think it's very important
I
to him.
don't think if he leads going into the straight and gets mown down, I don't think it'll be because he's had to do his own running in there.
Okay, and so Spudder would like that. And Paul Bakewell, welcome back to the show, my man. Tasman Bay, if it was trained by a more well-known trainer, it would be prominent in the market, not far behind the Irish Derby winners. He got form with Hurricane Lane then. Let's go down and have a little look.
No,
he
he's-
certainly ran okay at Royal Ascot, didn't he? Alan Carr, of course.
Yeah, Alan Carr, he's got.
Yeah, that's
behind
horse.
it.
He has got form with Hurricane Lane. Go back to Newbury. Well done, Paul. And John Leaper, of course, in that muddling sort of race where everyone got sucked into John Leaper, didn't it, for the Derby? So me included a little bit.
Still quite a talented horse, John Leaper, but whether he can harness it, that's the thing. He's quite.
He's going to have to go away and work his magic with him, I think. But Alan Carr, it was a good run, wasn't it? And that was another muddling race, I think.
It's a half-mile drop-in trip. That's the thing to consider with this horse. You know, he's got to come right back to a mile and do it. But on raw form, you know, he shouldn't be 25s.
Fascinating character, Sir Mark Todd, isn't
Well, I
it?
was just about to ask you, chaps, actually, with the point Paul made there. You know, Sir Mark Todd trains the horse. He's obviously an unfashionable trainer. How much do you go along with that thing where people say, oh, you know, if he was trained by so-and-so, he'd be shorter? I mean, obviously, most of them are, you know, most of them that are trained by the top trainers are shorter because they tend to have more success. But would you believe that a lesser-known trainer is just as likely to get the best out of a horse as a big-name trainer?
Yeah, because you can judge trainers based on their merit, and you can judging trainers based on their merit isn't on strike rates, it isn't on, you know, the champion trainer table. It's where a punter can read between the lines, I think, and infer when a trainer's good. There's an example from jumps racing that's quite an obscure one, but Maurice Barnes has horses that are bred to pull carts. and he does really, really well given the material he's got. He's never going to, have any big winners or anything like that, but just you have to relate them to the material they get, to the way they handle their horses, and you can make these inferences but you have to sort of be watching really closely. And they're the great angles when you've got a trainer that doesn't have the reputation but has the skill. I remember we said it years ago about Q Card. If he'd been, after he won the champion bumper, if he'd been trained by Nichols or Henderson, he'd have spent the summer at 2-1 for the Supreme, but he wasn't. He was,
and he wouldn't have been 40s on the day, would he?
Well, he wouldn't exactly. He wouldn't have been 40s on the day.
This is an honest horse who ought to theoretically on paper get an easy time up front. So Mark Todd's a fascinating character, isn't he? Kiwi, New Zealand, and voted the equestrian rider of the 20th century. And he trains for like Lady Lord Webber and stuff, doesn't he? He has horses like them. Going around.
How many does he have? Does he have big strength?
No, he doesn't. He's 65 years of age, I think. I think this is probably a sort of like come to Britain hobby sort of thing for him, really. But
yeah, and
I wonder whether he might break through.
You do worry about somebody who's basically doing it as the last few years to while away before retirement.
Who owns this? Colours. What are they? Sir Peter Vayler, of course, who has big horses down under. Should he be the rag? I don't know, but this is a weird market, isn't it? Should we have a word about Tactical, who, as a 2-year-old, again, did really, really well. Came back at Newbury with the women, and he's danced some big dances. He was just behind Rhythm Master.
It's a belated first go at a mile, isn't it, for this horse, who has, did he run in the Norfolk or something at Royal Ascot last year?
He won the Windsor Castle.
He won the Windsor Castle, that's right. And he ran in the July Stakes. He ran in all those early 2-year-old races.
Went to France, didn't he? And
he was behind Campanelli in the morning and all that sort of stuff. And it's a belated go at a mile for him. And I didn't fancy Qatar yesterday for similar-ish reasons.
Dan was a sprinter, and who's he by?
She was, Make Fast. Do I remember her?
Make Fast, yes, yeah, absolutely. She was. Yeah, I do remember. Did Balding have her as well? I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
Her Majesty. But Tornado obviously is the mile influence. So good luck wherever you're playing. That is for sure.
Fav's solid, Barry.
Yeah, certainly is into 2 to 5 now. So they've really come out to play for at 1.40, 142 now. So around the 49 mark, and it's 14.54, 15 around bar the favourite. Yeah, so that's all they want in the exchange. You've got a lot of people willing to bet the odds on, but for everyone who's willing to bet it, you have to have someone looking to lay it, and it's had the other side of the bettors people willing to lay it at that price.
The other thing, we talked about Tactical and his sire being Tornado. See the Stars as Bailly's sire, and See the Stars, magnificent sire though he is, won't have had a top miler yet, will he?
King Mambo mare. So again, it's a regal pedigree on paper down the line, I think, isn't it? So
he's a full brother to Hookham as well. This
yes, he
and
is.
Hookham's not as much of a stare as you think. By the way, I'm still convinced of that. I'm sure he's a mile and a half horse who gets away with a mile.
He didn't get home in the you're right. They sprinted last time at York.
Yeah, he did. He gets away with a mile 6. He's a mile and a half horse.
They're talking about horses' parents again.
Yes. Just look what he's done on paper, more to the point. Absolutely. Well, look, is this the shortest price of the week so far, Barry? I think it probably is on our televised races.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, quite comfortably. Yeah, I don't think, and there won't be anything as short as this for sure.
Wonderful tonight. Tomorrow will be short, but not quite as short. As
4 to 6. Kills was telling me this morning. That's a go-to price. So.
Right, almost all in then, folks, for the Thoroughbred Stakes, sponsored by Bonhams, the Group 3 over a mile, and they jump away, and it's a pretty level start. El Drama goes forward alongside Tasman Bay. I think they've all settled just fine. The favourite is on the inside by Eid. He's only got one behind him.
Your Rhythm Master's a little bit keen, isn't he? Rhythm Master, he's having a... He is
keen as Khartoum.
Porotto right out the back. But nothing's going undue.
Favourite's fine, I think.
Badly.
Just enthusiastic, isn't he?
Well, any market moves, Barry?
No, nothing at all to report. El Drama came in for a little bit of support into 11 from 14.
Okay.
All right, we've got the Golden Mile after this, but will we see a golden performance from Bay? I'd be perfectly happy at the moment. And Tasmanian Bay is doing what he's supposed to do, Tasman Bay.
He is, yeah. He goes off and makes that pace, and even though he is dropping half a mile in trip, he's getting off and doing that. Yeah. The pace looks, I'd say, fair. But
solid.
If Crowley wanted pace, he's got it, and he's chosen to sit in 6 of 7.
I would say perfect for the Fav here.
Yeah, we're at the halfway stage, and it's Tasman Bay leading from El Drama. In third, we've got Khartoum. And then in fourth on the inside, we've got Rhythm Master. On the outside is the Jellies colours with Tactical. The favourite is in 6, and bringing up the rear and being pushed along a little bit is Porotto.
Here he comes.
As we come down to the business end, and it looks like Tasman Bay's given way.
El Drama
picks it up. The favourite is absolutely cruising. Tactical's going okay, but the favourite is cruising.
Lord.
El Drama is the last one he's got to pass, and he's passed it.
How far?
Goes Crowley.
Steady on, Jim. Steady on.
Oh, you
Going
cheeky
clear,
swine.
half a furlong to go. 3, 4, 5 lengths clear. Come on, El Drama, get second. Come on, El Drama, get second. Oh, it's a one-horse race. Absolutely won by half the track. This is a racehorse, folks. El Drama finishes second, like I told you it would.
Oh, my Lord. And Barry Orr, OK, he was short. People out there have laid it. They're now thinking, what on earth did I do? Well, I think we have to now concede. This is a rising star.
I don't think there was any doubt about
No,
that
there wasn't,
pre-race
was there?
at
No,
all.
did
in
anyone
fairness.
doubt him?
I did doubt it a little bit.
You tried
I
your
did.
best.
All right, I see. I've been stitched up again here. This is since I walked
had
into
to-
the
I
office
never
this morning,
doubted
they've been coming for me.
Somebody had to be the patsy, and it was Dave stood up and he had his go.
I took the bullet. Well, look, I could also pick holes in the form, and I'm going to do that as an analyst.
How short do you think El Drama got?
Not very. No, I wouldn't have thought it got short at all. Go on.
6.
5.2 for £6. 5.3, 14 quid. 6.
Oh, I don't get that.
A couple of £100 traded at 8. 188 traded at 8. 255 at 8.2. So artificially short. I must have been looking at the same race as me because the
How
favourite
big
was
was the
always
winner?
I reckon that was turning in.
travelling.
I reckon that was
Sorry?
turning in. I
so?
think that was turning in, yeah.
How big was the winner? Was there any point where you could get anything near evens, Barry?
No, I tell you, he traded at a high of 181, but that was pre-race. This was
okay.
at the 48-hour deck stage because he was 4 to 5 initially on the sports book. So he's traded at that. I just can't. He never traded any bigger than his Betfair SP in Running Bruce. In fairness,
No,
and
I
his
mean,
Betfair SP was 142.
That was just a simple case of different class, wasn't
That
it?
was,
It's
I mean,
really good, wasn't
you've
it?
got to trust
Really
your
good.
eyes a bit. It was good, yeah.
Different species, isn't he?
It was good.
exciting,
It'll be fascinating to see what Jim Crowley says to our reporters, won't it, about what he's feeling under the bonnet, and William Haggis, just to make you feel better
Yeah.
about that.
Will it be all that interesting what
No,
Crowley
it
tells
won't.
us?
No.
It will.
I don't think it will.
Of course it will.
What do you think
What
you're
have I got? Right,
saying?
what have you
I'm
got
not so
underneath?
sure
Where
about
are we?
what you're saying.
Where are we going with the horse? What did the race feel like?
He doesn't know where he's going. Haggis might know where he's going. Richard Hills knows where he's going.
Crowley will definitely have an idea
listen,
where he's
no one
going.
knows where he's going because he's going to be entered for 5 different races. A sparrow's going to urinate on the track and they'll pull it out because it's too soft.
Oh, you're now.
That's what we're going to get, isn't it?
that's a
You're
bit-
an old cynic,
I'll
Bruce.
tell you
You're an
what.
old cynic. You're a
sick-
grizzled
I'm
old.
Are you
hack,
suggesting
Donald.
this is the last time we'll see Baid this year?
I'm sick of good horses getting pulled out of races on the ground, okay? Because not when it's not dangerous.
He hasn't been pulled out because of the ground.
He
That's his
hasn't, but he
fourth
did
race
say-
in about 6
He
weeks.
said in the paper today that if there was a dump of rain, he wouldn't run. So that means that as we go into the autumn and the rain starts, unless we get an Indian summer, there's every chance this horse is going to be entered and we're going to get excited about race after race and then they get pulled out. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get a nice...
I'd say it's
dry
odds on
summer.
he'd stay in training. He'd definitely stay in
Oh,
training as a
Oh,
4-year-old.
yeah. We could be looking at a 5-year-old here, but he's, dare I say, still Tad Green? When that's what, and they did push him, so the distance went out. Where do we go from here? Can I get this one out of the way? You've got the Celebration Mile, haven't you, back there, the Group 2. You've got the Joel Stakes, potentially.
Why couldn't you go to the one? Couldn't you go for the
That's
Moulin?
at France.
You could go to the Moulin, or you could go to the.
Is he going to take that
QE2?
step up?
Jacques Lemarrois.
QE2
Got a
is
quote
the-
of 5-2 for the QE2.
Yeah, that's all about the... What price?
Oh,
What, 5 to 2?
I could have some of
He
that.
won't run in the QE2, will he?
Well, this
Well,
is the thing.
trouble. He can't go to Deauville because Deauville, despite being a beautiful, sunny French resort, is always, at the
least
very
good to
least, soft.
It's horrible ground sometimes, so they come up the middle, don't
What
they?
else he's got?
Again, I'm not
Moulin's
totally sure.
Trials weekend. It's Ledger weekend, isn't it? The Moulin?
Oh, yeah, that's true. He could go there, yeah.
But you're talking about Palace Pier type. Yeah, he's now got to step into the
You've
big
got to take
leagues.
him on at some point.
Why
haven't you?
not? God,
Joel's-
why not?
this is Haggis. He goes dunk.
Yeah, but no, this is it now. He's had his auditions.
Can he go to Australia
He's
this horse?
beaten El Drama.
This horse should probably be going for the Breeders' Cup Mile, shouldn't he?
Yes, that
And work back
absolutely.
from that one.
But with
Work back from
connections,
that.
I mean, they've dodged it with Batash, haven't they? This
they
is the
have.
one that we wanted. We've got Batash coming up, by the way.
Batash isn't. Yeah, and this one, there's a stallion commodity with this, and it's not.
Could he go
go with
to
Batash.
Australia with a Dave? There's lots of decent mile races down there,
there?
and Haggis is on the lookout for a stable mate.
I mean, maybe he needs a challenge now, doesn't he?
Sorry, Barry.
I wouldn't say as a 3-year-old, no way.
He needs a challenge, doesn't he? So these Australian.
That's
turf
taken
horses-
3-year-olds down there. Fantastic Moon was a 3-year-old when he went down, and well,
Not
yeah,
a Shadwell one.
not maybe. Yeah, listen, it's the operation now. Of course, the Shadwell horses. Hissa, the daughter of the late Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, we think calling the shots.
But Dave, we go back to El Drama. What a nice that Eclipse run, if you overlay that on this,
Yes.
he's won the Eclipse, you know. I mean, I know that's a bit of a leap of faith. All right. No, it's not that. It's not
Getting
that laughable.
excited.
It's not that laughable. He's destroyed the horse by 8 lengths, who was only 5 lengths off the Eclipse winner.
Yeah, come on, Mr.
I'm
Handicapper,
looking at
what
it
are we
a
thinking
little
here?
bit.
There was a far more honest pace in this race today, wasn't there?
Yeah, but you're overcomplicating it. That is a fact, what happened there.
I think we can say that El Drama is a horse that runs up to his mark, can't we, on his best? So, and he beat Maximal a length at Chester as well, so he's actually a very good benchmark for the form, because Maximal came up against Baid. So El Drama.
I mean, I was watching out the back as well. Perotto he gave El Drama a massive start and nearly caught him. I think it's a bit messy in behind.
Yeah, a couple of us didn't turn up. Mine with the Master Project.
That race isn't something. This isn't a race that's about what happens.
Tactical looks like he's stuck now, doesn't he? What move is he going to make? No. All right. Okay. We're moving on then. All right, we've had 2 races. That was sensational. What do you make of Baid? Where should he go? That's the question for you out there. Let us know. We'll give you a shout here on Racing Post Live. Myself, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington, Keith Quizmaster Melrose, and the big hitter from Betfair, Barry Orr. Still, 3 races to come for you. Shall we? Is it time to shine with the Golden Mile finally? Over the same course and distance we've just had. Keith, a word about the bend and why the draw is such a huge factor in this race.
Yeah, horses tend to get caught on the rail, don't they? And if you get drawn low, it's a race where you seemingly want to be drawn high, because if you're low, you just get caught in all that scrimmaging, because there's 20 runners and everything wants to dive and make a run and they can't do it, and you end up. It's why stall 1. I think we discussed this on air or off air yesterday. It's why stall 1 in the Derby was the same. It was a bit of a coffin box, because
on air.
You get caught up that rail as everything hangs down the camber, and that's the same at Goodwood. On the far rail, you'll get people. All the horses are just going to conglomerate there, and you just get no run.
It's anti-post wise, you're praying for a low draw. But if you're on a hold-up performer, with David O'Mara, he won this race last year, didn't he, with prompting, but over the years he's had horses in it. My mic got apparently.
That's all right.
All right, okay. I'm going to pass to Barry. I'm passing to Barry. Still hear me?
What have we got, Barry, market-wise?
So they've only wanted one horse all day, Dave. Path of Thunder into 11-4 in the Exchange. Has been as big as 4 and 5. It's been absolutely punted off the boards. 8-8 Magical Morning, last time out winner. Maidani 12, acquitted. There's been money for that. Into 14, Escobar, there's been money for that as well. Into 16, these all horses, we're well familiar with them now, aren't we? But I have a pretty straightforward play here, please, Keith. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to do, I fancy a horse in it, a Godolphin horse as well, but it's from the stable of Syed bin Sarur, Ray Dawson, who I hope has better luck on this than he did in the first race. Bedouin Story, it's called, and ran pretty well last season out in Maidan, won a race and finished second in another one and finished 5th in his 3rd race out there. Came back, ran in Ascot. Was a little bit disappointing in Ascot in his seasonal reappearance in the Buckingham Palace, but went on to finish 5th behind Magical Morning. Only beat 2 1/4 lengths in Sandown. Magical Morning's a 13-2 chance. This is a 16-1 chance. I'm looking to have 25 quid each way out on the sportsbook, because the sportsbook have enhanced place terms here. They're paying 6 places. I think that's a pretty decent concession here. Now, I know Bedouin Story's rated 105, but I think there's more to come from him, and I think he'll improve on what he did behind Magical Morning and Sandown. So 25-1, 6 at 18, I think he is now on the sports book. So we're having 25 quid, 6 places, Bedouin Story.
I'm back, I can tell you. You can't keep a good man down. 4 days, a micropack was always going to run out of juice at some point, wasn't it? Never run at Goodwood before, and I didn't think we were going to get a tip from Barry Orr. Stall 19 of 20. Wow. Ray Dawson on, claiming a cheat 3, isn't it, basically? It's senior jockey claiming 3.
It's free money. It's free weight, really, on Ray Dawson.
Yeah.
Some claimers are claiming free weight, and Ray Dawson's one of them.
Go back to what I was saying, before I cruelly got cut off by the lack of batteries. Anti-post wise, this is a crazy market, isn't it? I've often been driving on a Thursday morning. I'm like, oh,
you always seem to be driving when the draw for this race comes out. What's happening?
I don't know. It's maybe I'm always on the road at about 10:30 every morning. That's when the draws tend to come out, isn't it? Certainly on our system, anyway. And this is where a horse can go from 20-1 quite comfortably if it's for the right connections into 5-1 in the blink of a computer glitch or something, or however they come out. You would think with the Stewards' Cup that they might potentially do a draw for the Golden Mile. Thank goodness they don't.
Why not?
Because they haven't got these draws right. It's a bugbear of mine. And I watched the Stewards Cup yesterday. It even had crowds back. TC was in yesterday saying you should do it like they do in America, get the presenters, make it jazzy and all that sort of stuff. Like in Australia for the Melbourne Cup, they go to the Sydney Opera House and put it all on the... I know it's a
ticker tape parade for the Melbourne Cup, don't
But it's slightly different.
Poor old Nick Luck, was it the Derby meet or whatever it came out?
Tom Bowler.
Tom Bowler.
What's wrong with that?
Awfully British.
Why?
Come on, that's
What's wrong
ridiculous.
with
When was the last time you enjoyed a Tom Bowler?
Probably when I was about 9 at my primary
Correct.
school fete.
There
But
are
I don't
no
care.
9-year-olds at that draw.
No, but what's wrong with the draws? This is one of those things where all you cynics and all you tired old people who are too nerdy and weird about racing, and there's a few people on Twitter who are like, oh, why do they have to have public draws? What's wrong with it?
What
If you
I'm saying
don't
is
like
make it entertaining.
What do you want them to do?
I can't
It's a draw for a
They
handicap.
go to someone. They go to an old hack that's representing an old Northern trainer. Isn't it just takes forever, and it's like
Look, if you,
know,
don't
they
like,
can't do it
this
properly.
is the same with any draw, whether it's the World Cup, the Champions League, the FA Cup, a race. You don't have to engage with it.
I don't mind an FA Cup
You can just
draw.
keep out of it, and then when they've done the draw, you can get it and you can read down, you can get the info. It doesn't really
So
matter.
should they do it at
Gives
all?
the sponsors a bit of exposure.
It is for the sponsors, of course it is.
And it is interesting because you do get to see what the connections fancy. So
We'll give
I've
it a
got
bit
no
of
problem
balance
with
to
it.
the draw
It's
here.
one of the most over-criticised things.
We were unanimous yesterday that we
Well,
didn't like
I'm
it.
not. I think there's nothing wrong with it.
I did say there's the use of them is finding out where the first few out go.
Where you think the Shrewdies might be wanting to go.
Well, yeah, and you can infer your own reasonings from that. There is a use for it in that regard. But anybody
Charlie Hills
watching
has got 4. He's put his first 3 low or something like that.
anybody who's watching that to the end, check how many milk bottles are sitting outside their door because they're probably dead. If you watch the first,
I'd rather
3 or
go to the
4,
dent,ist, I said, than watch the Stewards Cup draw. You know,
You don't have
you've got
to
to
watch
air
it.
as well.
You don't have to watch it.
I'm usually in the car.
Why would you want to watch it?
I'm usually
Why would
driving.
you? You don't have to watch it. But if you've got a runner in the race or you're interested,
tell you
to see
what
who the
else
cheapest
annoys
was,
me
nothing
about
wrong.
it.
I bet Barry backs me up, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
Doesn't he?
Betfair turned it down for the Sprint Cup,
Why,
didn't you, Barry?
Why? It's free publicity, man.
Yeah, it's not something that usually you don't get enough runners in the Sprint Cup anyway. It's generally small enough field. It's hard to create that sort of buzz around it.
But if you sponsored a big field sprint handicap, would you want a public draw?
Yes, from a PR point of view, yes, you would. But it only gets picked up really by the rights holder. So if it's, in this case, it's Racing TV, although I didn't even see this on Racing TV. So they don't tend to pick it up. The last one I remember was, I think, the Lincoln. William Hill, when they sponsored the Lincoln, used to do one on ATR back in the day. I don't remember a more recent one where that was shown on television. And
I was at
I don't
York.
think people really care, to tell you the truth, Bruce.
2019, they did the
drawn.
e-board, didn't they? ITV tried to do it. It was mind-numbing. It was, and from an admin point of view, when you work in racing, we're the only ones that care about this. It takes forever to come up on systems. All you want to know is where your horse is drawn. I said to you yesterday, where am I going to find this draw? Didn't I? It's because RTV were playing
Slows the
around with it.
decks down as well.
That's
through.
it.
I'll tell you
Exactly
what,
that.
I'll make a deal with it. They can do these draw things as long as you get a tanked up Rod Stewart doing them every time.
Oh,
not
yeah,
get
that
us-
was good.
Remember when he did the
That
Scottish
was
Cup
good,
when he didn't know what day it was?
He looked like Emu, didn't he? He was sort of going
They used to
like
get
that,
them.
wasn't
They used to
he?
get Rangers and Celtic players, didn't they? Like the old boys coming in, Richard Gough or someone like that coming in to do it.
The joke is that the Rangers and Celtic have got the square ball.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah. I tell you the complaint I have about draws. In the FA Cup, just put the team name on the ball, and then we don't need to have to mess around with, oh, by the way,
What's
Bristol
number
City
four?
at number 6.
Four,
Just
oh,
put the
that's-
name of the blooming team on
Oh, so
there.
you do have a bugbear.
I do have a bugbear with that, and then blindfold the person doing the draw. That would be good as well, wouldn't it? So they can't look in and see it.
Oh, right. Are you suggesting that sometimes we have too many Man United Liverpools?
I'm just saying you could if they had the name on there. You could do
Yes,
that, but
you
they
could
should
do.
just have the name of the team on the ball. Blindfold the people.
Give them a
doing
pair of
it.
Stevie Wonders or something like that.
Solved
Just give them a pair of shades.
But I've got no problem with racing draws at all.
All right, okay, so what do you think of them? Again, you can let us know. Talking points here. We're generating, and we were asking about the bogey tracks yesterday. We had some great responses, by the way, that kept going off once we were off air as well. The chats were going crazy with, what's your bogey track, we were saying. Funnily enough, mine's York of all the big ones.
Yeah, you never explained that one.
It's because I don't know, I can't read York.
What's there to read?
Exactly. You don't know where they're going to go. You don't know whether you want to lead. You don't know whether you come off the pace. Pace doesn't often hold up. Big fields.
So you're looking for rules when there are none, basically.
I basically want to be able to read a track, and I just find that once you think you've got, okay, all right, I know where they're going to go. They'll come over the stand side. I think the last time I was at that E-ball meeting, I was pretty much 1 from 14, which didn't help as well.
It's going to sound
Of
like
the
Bruce,
big
why
tracks,
don't you just pick the best horse?
Yeah.
What, in the race? That works out. Okay, let me go to pick the Bide in every race.
Yeah, well, why not?
Okay,
If you back by age, you've done.
I mean, the straight
I'll go
track's
back 2 to 5 shots every time.
The straight track's great at York because you know what you're picking. It's a fast.
I've got no idea where you want to be on that. 1 minute you want to be low, 1 minute you want to be. 1 minute you want to be up the front.
There's no bias.
The best horse rarely wins.
You're
a
looking
York
for
sprint.
things. You're looking for.
Mum's Tipple, right? Okay, won that sales thing, right? Richard Hammond says the best workhorse we've ever had. Everyone backs it for the Guineas. It never turns up again, really. You know, that's a typical York horse.
Not typical York horse, is it? That's
absolutely
clearly
is.
like a.
It's one of the most unusual races ever at York, which is why you remember it.
And Bade, and not Bade, Batash has got to walk a mile to get to the start. And it revs him up and gets him going.
Is it the only horse I've ever heard that reported about, though?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There must be loads of them, though.
Yeah,
There's 100. As I said, there's 100 runners at York.
Got a
every
fair
year.
on the inside for the kids and all that sort of thing. I don't know. I love going to York. It's a great city and it's a great city to stay in and just go to the racecourse. But I don't. It's a bogey track. All right. What is your bogey track?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I was going to say all of them, but I mean, I don't.
We've had a few of them.
I honestly don't think I've got bogey horses and bogey trainers and bogey jockeys, but I don't really have a course where I think, Christ, I'm useless at this place.
Is it too much to ask for bogey jockeys or bogey trainers?
Blimey.
It's a bit harsh.
Well, I mean, I can't read Johnson. I'm hopeless at Johnson.
I've got a bit better at it, actually. I used to be exactly
you know
the
who
same.
used to be the most difficult? The late Dandy Nichols. He was almost impossible to follow.
I don't think Dandy could read
Nick
Dandy.
Easterby, could he be tricky to follow as well? He could tricky to read?
You know 3 minutes before the off what's happening with Mickey. Johnson's, the money always comes very, very late. I've got a little bit more idea with Johnson than I used to, but it's Evan Williams over jumps. I can't figure him out at all.
Yeah. So bogey trainers we're getting on to now. All right, fine. I was curious if you had a bogey track. One chap came in and said, when was the last winner you backed at Chepstow or on the flat? Oh, it's a nightmare track, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of my bogey tracks.
Oh,
on the flat.
It's a roller coaster,
Undulating.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No, I've not.
If you go there, honestly, you will not believe it. It is like a roller coaster.
The head on you get in the telly is bad enough.
Everyone loves the jumps track.
Did you see
don't
the
they?
BMX course today?
It's like that.
Wasn't that brilliant, by the way?
Remarkable story.
Chepstow's like the BMX track. All those little
I
undulations.
forget the
and
girl's
bumps.
name off the top of my head.
Bethany Shriver.
Very good. Shriver, I think
brilliant,
it is.
wasn't
She
she?
didn't have a funding either, did she?
No, she crowdfunded.
Yeah.
And yet the rowers who won next to nothing, who couldn't even keep a straight line in one case, they got 20-odd million. But
Right.
those two, Kai White, who won the silver, and Beth...
The Prince of Peckham, they called him.
Yeah,
don't they?
I think they were brilliant stories. For me,
Yeah.
those two and the Fiji Sevens have been the nicest stories of this tour.
Have you been, obviously, because we know that you are really our sports pundit, really.
All sports, racing,
all sports,
everything. I love it
absolutely.
all. But we all do that.
And a lot was said about this Olympics, wasn't it? You know, with the COVID, etc., people pulling out the last minute, people not necessarily wanting to go.
Yeah.
But it has, luckily, could we come second? Someone said earlier to me, there's a chance that we might even.
That's something that I struggle to care about.
I'm not that fussed about the medals. I just like the individual
Who's winning the
stories.
golf?
The golf, Xander Schauffele's suddenly gone bananas, and he's in
Has
front.
he?
I've got to tell you, though, there's one thing about this Olympics that is driving me mad, and it's time and time again.
I know it's coming here as well.
And it is, when they're getting their medals, they make them wear a mask to receive their medal. They have to give themselves a medal, and then they stand there with the...
This is Tokyo we're talking about.
Take the mask off and let us see the joy in there.
They probably did it in 2018 there, didn't they?
No, listen. And then
Never mind a pandemic.
The podium's about a mile wide, so they can't possibly go near anyone. And then after they've received their medals, they're allowed to take their masks off and all put their arms around each other for a photo. It is nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, again, the inconsistencies of it all.
Just let us
Has
see the
anyone
joy of the
seen,
winners.
since restrictions were, that's it, you don't have to wear them, it's not legal to wear them on, has anyone seen anyone do an interview in one yet? I haven't, I don't know.
An interview?
Like a horse racing interview. Have you seen an owner? Since masks didn't become compulsory, if you like, have we seen anyone on television? Have you seen anyone on the track wearing the mask and stuff? Because we had it a lot, didn't we? Of course, you had to go into the winners' enclosure.
Actually.
The winners' enclosure, we were hearing from one of our young reporters, John Harding, who's back there tomorrow, and he's going to try and come on the show and give us a word pre-Stewards Cup tomorrow, actually, just to tease that for you. He said it was like a free-for-all again, the winners' enclosure, and positives and negatives from that, so it's quite interesting. I think a lot will be said after these summer festivals about how people are really feeling.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's about when push comes to shove, everything's reverted to what it was 2 years ago. And you go on. It's strange to be. Now when you go into a place, it's polite to put up a mask, whereas before it had been deeply suspect to put on a mask before you walked in somewhere. And it's, but now but when it needs, when there's scrummaging for a quote, because that's something that journals put an awful lot in, isn't it? Oh, I've got to get a quote. I've got to get my quote from Mr. Haggis.
Particularly if there's an ITV camera trained on them. I mean, we used to say to the reporters, I don't want quotes from a trainer that someone in the paper the next morning that someone can hear by watching Channel 4 or ITV Live.
Yeah, of course.
Wait till they've finished their interview. But some of these journalists, they get a bit of a tip for themselves and they like to be seen hanging over Mr. Haggis.
It was a no-no, wasn't it, the
There's
poster?
one in particular, Bruce. I won't mention him on air, but every time I turn on the television, he's still behind some jockey or trainer getting interviewed.
It's
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a little bit keen for the limelight, that particular chap. But anyway, if it makes him feel better, then all well and good.
Oh, all right, great.
Weird. Listen,
Absolutely
back to
tremendous
the racing,
needle.
lads. 3 races that William Haggis has mentioned for Badid, Jack Lamar, the Prix de Moulin, and the Celebration Mile back in Goodwood. They're the 3 that possible races.
You didn't need to listen to him. You got it here.
I guess the Celebration Mile's more likely to have the slick ground he needs.
And he's just proven himself over course and distance. And good horses win that before they assault at something in the autumn. The Joel Stakes would be the break race, wouldn't it? He hasn't mentioned that, obviously. So if you go to France, you've got to take on, we think, Palace Pier.
Is Palace Pier going to run in both those races?
Good question. Good question.
They're probably
He's
going
to have to take on good horses at some stage, isn't he?
No, listen, I've got no problems about that. But
Wouldn't Palace Pier v Baid be an exciting race?
Oh, it would, yeah, because Baid would travel all over him.
What would you be? Just those 2 in a match? Would you be 4 to 7 Palace Pier, 5 to 4 Baid?
can I throw Poetic Flair into the mix as well?
Yeah, can we just stick to 2? I can't calculate all 3. How would you price those 2 up in a match bet?
Yeah, I suspect it probably would be 4 to 7. Yeah, I'd maybe even go slightly bigger, Palace Pier.
Dare I ask Quizmaster what figure he's run to there?
On that race.
1-2-2. Racing Post Races we're talking about here. We've got that.
It was 1-2-2.
Because we know Palace Pier is a 1-2-3.
I need to know the horses
1-2-4.
behind. Palace Pier's 1-2-7, I think.
What, really?
Palace Pier's 1-2-4. Palace Pier is 1-2-7.
Is he? Yeah. Ooh, okay. Well, look, this is the man that knows, of course.
So what was his winning distance?
What was the distance?
Let's have a look.
today?
Let's get that.
6?
I would have said 8. I bet that's 8. Yeah. Don't forget, I'm the distance master.
Well,
Yeah, it's true. Listen to you on distances.
Actually, don't.
Yeah. All right.
6.5.
Was it 6.5?
Yeah, that looked like if I'd backed over 7, I'd be not happy about that. That looked like a
was
good
expecting
7.
I think he'll run to quite a similar figure to last time. I think he'll run to about the same because Tactical was not beaten far by El Drama. He's a bit of a ceiling on it. He'll be about 107, and he's been beaten about 7 lengths. It's 14 behind that. It might be a bit higher, be a 1-2-3, 1-2-4.
I tell you what, we've not discussed the
Tell you what
horse
to do.
as much yet this week as Baid, and we've had 3 Group 1s, and I'd say this has been
What
the
would he be
biggest
giving him?
discussion. We'll have
Will Palace Pier be giving him £5?
Is it 5?
£4?
Oh,
Wait
we're
for
in
age.
August now, aren't we?
The wait for age is basically fine, isn't it? The wait for age is just it's.
As the season progresses, it gets less.
It does get less and less. Yeah, absolutely.
It's less on August the 1st, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's another one coming on August the 1st, and yeah, but what I'm saying is that the wait for age scale, no private set of handicaps, so RPRs, time form, all that. None of them disagree with the allowance over a mile.
That is a fair scale.
The scale is fair. So a lot of people obsess about wait for age stuff, but in 9 cases out of 10, it is there to the tune of a pound either way. It's fine.
That's what you get here on Racing Post Live. Nowhere else are you getting this today. Tune in. Real-time reaction, but also the best analysis in the business. Almost like a fly on the wall here.
I suspect what they'll do with Baid, thinking about it, is they'll give him 1-2-3, which will put him a pound behind Poetic Flair. I think that's what... Because handicappers do that.
They can't go above Poetic Flair yet.
Won't want to. And I think they'll just chuck him a pound.
That's why I wanted to chuck him in,
Lads, going back to this 3 o'clock, you know what you're saying about the draw? Am I right? Did I pick that up properly, that you don't want to be low here?
No, well, look...
Right on the... You don't want to be in 1. I think
Look
that's...
at the last few winners.
You have to have been drawn low. What Keith's point he was making is it can get... This is the race of the week where this is like bumper cars on the inside. But yes, you're right. Only Wentworth in 2013, a 3-year-old for Richard Hanna, has defied a double-figure draw in this race. In the last couple of years,
2, 3, 3, 3, 1.
9. Yeah, Ryan Moore's got a great record in this race as well. So shall I get to my tip? Because I have gone for Johan. I'm thinking this is going to be a Haggis quickfire double.
He fits all the little trends there, doesn't he?
And
drawn in the lowest 3 numbers and ridden by the guy who's won 3 of the last 5.
And his form wasn't half boosted last time out and good to form, because who remembers Migration? Okay, maybe that wasn't the Migration that we saw in the very first race at Goodwood, but that was a group horse and a handicap. This is a tough, progressive haggis horse. Did he start him off in the Lincoln from memory? It was certainly going to be a pitch point for him. He was one of these horses that basically rose up the handicap last year. Where did they come back at the start of this year? Oh, yeah, of course, it was at Newbury behind Nugget, wasn't it? Matthew Flinders and Danyar, we're talking about big handicap horses here. A mark of 104, okay, it's high enough, but Ryan Moore on, they mean business. Moore and Haggis is a trusted combination over time. He's a tough horse. I don't think he'll be too far off the pace. I don't think we're getting that bumper cars. Johan, for me, a solid price. Bruce Millington.
Well, I thought it was quite interesting that May Danny was pulled out on Tuesday when so many horses were. And I wonder if they did that, A, because they didn't like the ground at the time, but B, they thought this would be a perfectly winnable alternative. So I do like May Danny, but in the end, I've gone very boring with Path of Thunder. I just think this last run at Newmarket is so good. Really authoritative. I just think he's a big old tank, gets rolling, and I just think he's certainly short. There's no value there, is there, particularly? But sometimes with these things, the horse might just be different class.
He's got
I thought he won
£3.
with a bit in hand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if the handicapper had his way, he would, of course, be running with another £5 on his back. Right. We've put him up to, I think it's a mark of 100 we've given him. Let's just have a little look down. Yes, it was 92 who ran off that. Beat a horse called Tenbury Wells, who probably will win again soon. Pretty sure I analysed that. Let's have a look down. What did I say? The Golden Mile is most definitely his target, and talented enough to rate higher. So yeah, probably a group horse and handicap. Can argue nothing about that. It's just 5-2. He's going to want to be up there, isn't he, and get a right old run.
Yeah, he's in a race that's this competitive. Franco could be in it, and I'd try and get him beat at 5-2. It's that sort of race.
Aid.
Is that simply because, Keith, you've got so many obvious in-running issues when you're drawn low?
There's in-running issues. There is the fact that something else could, not an awful lot has to go wrong for a horse that's got so much in hand to just get beat by something else on the day. You've got so many other attractive options. It's not like you're having that 2.5 mile race to start with today, okay? There was so many in that race that I could go, well, I don't like this because Y, and I don't like this because A. But in this race, you can like half the field, and you can cheer on half the field knowing you've got a horse that's potentially ahead of its mark and improving. And when that's the option in front of you, just my temperament never wants to back the 5-2 shot. It wants to back the 12's chance that's equally progressive.
Barry, with a horse like this fav, these are the kind of handicap favs that punters absolutely love, don't you think? They're trained, but they've got stellar connections, they've got Hollywood connections. All right, they're 5-2, so they're probably too short for the likes of Keith and you pros, but punters will love getting stuck into this thing, won't they?
Yeah, and the William Buick factor as well has to play into the price. Like he's obviously he's the leading jockey at the festival. What's he ridden, 5? Has he ridden 5
Good question
winners?
off the top of my head. I can't think. He certainly is leading it. I know that.
Yeah, he's ridden 5 winners last time I looked. Yeah, he hasn't ridden winner today, but that plays into the price is the point I'm making, Bruce. Obviously, it's Charlie Appleby and William Buick, and he's coming off the back of a win, the horse, and he's been back at a high somewhere around 7 or 8 for small money on the exchange, but he's been a steady 5-2 chance. A lot of these are well exposed. He's ahead of the handicapper, and he's a horse going in the right direction. So he has been obviously very popular, but his price is very much a defensive price now.
2 going for the boys in blue then. Bedouin Story, perhaps not the one who expected from Barry Orr, and the Fav is a good thing, pretty much, says Bruce Millington. Between Side Bin Sarur and Charlie Appleby, they're 0 from 10 in this race in the last 10 years. Of course, I don't know the SPs of all those horses, and I dare say they've had one running like this. They probably haven't had one running like this, but yeah, you are basically going to hope that Corazon Espinado and Maidani, the horse that's drawn right next to him, set up a nice pace and you can just tack in. The worry I guess you've got is that those wide try and make the beeline.
Doesn't Johan go and try and make it?
Johan will be there. I'm sure he'll be there. That's what I said. I don't think we're going to get the Spencer-like worries. Sorry, Jamie, but I don't think we're going to get the Danny Tudhope's had some horror stories. I remember Escobar one year was all dressed up with nowhere to go in this race. Who's the Melrose tip?
It's me, Danny. Actually, just like the way he's been progressing recently. The Coral Challenge race that was second into Magical Morning at Sandown's, always really good form. He's been improving all season. Another thing to note with him, he's out of the track, and a few of hers just keep getting better with age. And he's another one that is, he has improved this year. It's just got an awful lot going for him.
It's Ella Cam, isn't it?
Yeah, Lark. He was another one. Yeah, he's
Larkham,
improved as a 5-year-old, I think, or certainly at least 4.
Called him some names.
And but he did get there in the end, didn't
He did? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
And
you
that
would think
weight
with the
pool with the
pedigree.
winner, I know the winner was impressive, but that weight pool's pretty significant. I think it's about 6 or 7 pounds.
Yeah, it is quite a big drawback. So it's just there's a lot to like about Meidani. He is drawn in 5, so he's not so low that he can get in trouble down the rail. But he's also, he's not wide.
It was one of the best scratchings, I think, of the year. That it just don't run him, Jono. Just don't run him, Johnson. I mean, just do not run him.
John owed him.
No, John owed him.
I tell you what, I don't know Mark Johnson that well, but I can guarantee you he hates being called Jono. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't know about that. I know some of the
He
owners.
would hate it.
I know some of the owners
He
that call him
would
Jono.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You wouldn't call him John.
I quickly erupted there, but I think this was one of the great scratchings, and in the race, and from 5 we might be looking at a gift or slightly.
That why Quaidar didn't run it?
Yeah,
Quaidar, the horse that won
exactly.
yesterday.
Exactly what I'm thinking, because you remember the quote we got from Charlie Johnson, Barry, straight after the race. Keith, do you
Yeah,
remember
he
Charlie
said he'd
Johnson?
definitely run.
He said
If he
he'd
was
run.
ours, he'd be running. But Shadwell don't want to run him, so we will scratch him. This was the winner yesterday, of course, at the opening race that would have looked sensationally handicapped in this, I think we can say. But Meidani's got the draw. He's a course. He's a distance winner. Lots going his way. Who do you like in the Golden Mile then? You've got, you've probably got about 5 minutes, haven't you, to get your selections in. Ross Golin, we must talk about him. Spotlight naps. Steve Boo naps him in this race. This is one of the horse watchers, isn't it? They seem to do this every year. They find one, don't they? At least one that can just, inherit it. This was Charlie Hills that's looking out from behind the sofa on this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I know the horse watchers generally, and they're always been keen to buy one of Charlie Hills for some reason. He gets a lot of well-bred horses and doesn't deliver with all of them, I think, is the thinking.
Got some news to give you, Keith. Sorry, and Barry, you're not going to like this. Mogul, he's out.
Oh dear.
That's great news for Barry's bet.
Mogul's gone.
That's great news because it saves him back in a loser.
Jumped on that one straight away, didn't he? That was his nap, man. We're hearing he's a non.
Ground.
He's a non. Got to be ground, isn't it, Barry? I think.
What's going on with the ground? Because I jotted down the first race time. It was 16.4 seconds slow, but I suppose it's 2 miles,
And
4.5.
what's the standard? The standard there is going to be.
Do you know what? The gallery are usually so good at giving me the race times. It's Dan Walsh, our producer. It's his last day today at the post. I think they're just having a big old party in there.
They've probably left us to it, haven't
They're
they?
probably down the calf, aren't they, or something like that? Yes. That's why my batteries went. Absolutely. You've already had to do your
there
one
is a
as
bit
well.
of a sign
Are
of
they
life.
in there? Yeah, it's Dan Walsh's last day. Oh,
And I
so
will
sad.
just say, by the way, what a great help. Right from the beginning of these shows being established, those guys, Dan and Rob and Will and everyone else behind the glass, and Dan's an absolute top man. He's been a really great guy, so we'll miss you, Dan. Thanks a lot for all your efforts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
They're
yeah.
going out for a drink tonight, so if you see us on air tomorrow, it's probably about a 5-1 shot, I would imagine. But I think apparently Keels might be tagging on, but he's only going to have a few, apparently.
Yeah,
so-
well, yeah, Keels, I'm only going for a couple. That is, if Keels is only going for a couple, you put a naught on there.
He said that to Keith, didn't he, the last time they were in the Royal Ascot? Ross Briley had to tap out. He was halfway there.
Scared for his life. You saw the fear in his eyes.
And he's not had a drink for a week, has he? So,
Well,
woo!
he said, didn't he? He said, was it the Saturday?
Euros
Which
weekend.
Saturday was it?
It was
It was
John
Super
Smith's Cup
Saturday,
Day.
Euros
Super
weekend, and
Saturday.
he said he went round to his friend's house. He said, I was at my friend's man cave, and I said, look, and the bloke said, all right, do you want me to get you some drink? And he said, I don't want too much, just get me 8 cans. So the bloke, he knows Keels well, so he got him 16, and Keels says the last thing he remembers is going to the fridge and getting the last
He was on the optics, wasn't he, in the man cave? Yeah, but when Kills says to me, just get me 8 cans, I'll be like, all right, Kills, where are we going with this? But then the bloke turns around and goes, that's not going to be enough for you, is it?
No, exactly.
So that's the league that we're talking about here. All right, with leagues, of course, racing leagues started last night. What did you make of that? Lots we said about it on the show. We'll get a word from Bruce about that potentially as well. Lots of discussion points still to come. We've got the 4:10, as usual, is our last race of the day. Batash comes up in around about 35 minutes' time. Are you with or are you against? It's as simple, isn't it? Or is there one in there that we're not looking at? Some old favourites coming back out to play. Let us know. We want to hear from you here on RP Live. You can get involved to your comment on YouTube. The guys will pick it up if they're still there. And, of course, Facebook Live. Anything on Twitter, hashtag RP Live. All right, great stuff. Loving the discussions today. Roscoeling then, we were before the mogul news.
So yeah, these Charlie Hill horses tend to go for quite a lot and outside the horse watcher's price range a lot of the time, but they got this one and he's been really successful for them. He's obviously won what he has. He's been out of handicaps the last couple of starts. He was behind Safe Voyage at Epsom and then he won at Pontefract at the weekend. And I just checked, he didn't go up for Pontefract at the weekend when he was second to Brunch in the listed race. He has to improve again. Let's not pretend otherwise. He does have to keep improving, but the rate he's shown of improvement this year so far, you'd think he could do that again. And
Proved he got the trip last time, didn't he? Fully proved it.
Yeah, and
getting second beaten less than a length, albeit in 6 runners at Pontefract, you get a mile.
Pontefract's a really weird track. It's got the stiffest finish of just about any in the country, but it's
a front runner's
track at the same time. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Really strong this Fav now, he's 3.55 on the exchange and 5 to 2 on the show. He's really popular. Funny that, Barry, sometimes, isn't it? When the relationship between the exchange favourite and the show favourite, there's normally a bit of a gap, but in this case, the show favourite, the show price and the exchange price are virtually the same.
The shorter ones can be there can be less of a difference between the shorter ones because obviously the exchange is a win-only market. And you'll find you wouldn't have a lot of people betting this each way on a sports book or putting it in multiples or anything like not each way multiples anyway. So it's sometimes like with Baideed it was 1.2 on the or 1.5 in the exchange and 1 to 2 on the sports book at the same time. So yeah, a lot of times with shorter ones, there's not that much of a disparity sometimes.
Almost all in.
Actual price. All right.
Here we go, Bruce.
Almost all in. Just waiting for Roscoeling. That's still got to go forward. And the one with the arrows, Escobar.
We've had some big fields so far. The 18 runners here. This is not like the 2 mile 4 where you get to leisurely just sort of look down. This is going to test your mettle, my man.
No, it won't. It won't. Nothing tests my mettle anymore. I can do anything, honestly. And unlike Richard Hoyles, I start learning the colours just as they start to go in.
Remarkable that, wasn't it?
Nice those blindfolds they've got with the orange bit at the front. I don't know if that's a new fad, but not quite sure why that is. Anyway, we've just got Escobar to go in, and then we're off and running. And Path of Thunder, really solid. Bit of money for Roscoeling. Magical Morning's out to about 10 on the exchange. Johan and May Danny also. Then it's 14 Acquitted and Escobar, and it's 23 Chalier, and then it's 48 the rest. So there's been a bit of money for Barry's Bedouin story, but we're almost off and running for the Golden Mile over, surprise, surprise, a mile. And there's a couple been allowed to drift to the back there. Hortzada
Orban.
And also Bedouin Story's been scrubbed along at the back. Up front, though, Chalier, the grey, is going well on the inside. Showing pace on the outer is the bottom one. Corazin Espinado and also Epic Endeavour. So some of the lightly weighted horses are going forward. Favourite is positioned beautifully there, I would say, in 5th on the inside, gents, and also Johan going well. What's the market reacted to the early exchanges there, Barry?
Yeah, favourite steady, 3.2 now, 8.6 Roscoeling, 9.4 Johan, Magical Morning 9.8, Escobar into 15. He's probably one of the movers.
Okay, so
Danny's in a good spot.
This is interesting, isn't it? Now, Jim Crowley's got back on this chat. Dane O'Neill's been known to launch him, Keith. He's being more patient. You're happy?
Yeah, I would be with that one. He's got him just behind the leaders.
The worry for the Fav is that if the one in front, Chalier, comes across him, he could have nowhere to go.
This is where the bumper cars happen.
It's going to be all about the cutaway.
Oh, God.
Corazon Espinado's going really well. Will Buick has got a choice to make here.
Me, Danny travels.
Coming down the outside, Bedouin Story going
well. Not going to get a run. Danny won't get a run.
Danny's not going to get a run either. There's a few hard luck stories.
Come on, Johan, what do you got?
The bat. It's Johan, it's Bedouin. No, it's not Bedouin.
Sorry, he's got to come over the place, Johan.
It's Trey Fleur.
He's got out. Danny's out.
Come on, Johan, you're not Danny.
May Danny and Johan. Here comes Escobar. May Danny, Johan and Escobar. Coming up on the inside is Roscoeling.
Come on, Keith.
They're not catching him.
May Danny from Escobar. May Danny wins it. Escobar just gets picked for second by Roscoeling. And Johan, I think, is 4th, but May Danny gets it done. Excellent. I had a Rod Laver on that.
Well done, Keith. An eloquent point. They wanted it to run on the Tuesday. The heavens opened. They pulled it out. It came here. It's gold.
How smug must you feel if you do that?
I think Jono's going to be loving this, isn't he?
You might even be happy enough to resist getting called Jono.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, there we are. So the Braveheart gets the money, Barry. Bedouin Story ran a good race as well for a long way. When did they know about the winner, though? He cruised.
Yeah, he took it up. He's one going away at the finish. He hit a high of 14 in running. Roscoeling went low as well in running. Dave hit a low of 6. We'd also got in there. Johan hit a low at 3.3 in running. What else? Bedouin Story, that hit a low of 3.05 in
Did
running.
it? I think that was a mistaken identity job, that, Barry, because I think they thought that Trey Fleur was him.
He's in front there, isn't he?
No, that's Trey Fleur.
Was it Trey Fleur? Well,
Yeah.
That draw, Bedouin Stories.
That fooled me as well. Fav's not run well. I think even if the Fav had got a run, he wouldn't have run. He's not even finished in the first 10.
Dropped like a stone.
Ross Golin's unlucky, you know.
Was he?
Escobar, that's the other one that travelled well into it, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought Escobar.
He hit a low at
Look at
2.18.
Orban.
He's the lowest of the placed horses.
Orban's finished about 5th.
Yeah, Escobar's he's been unlucky in that race before, Barry. This time he emerged with every chance. He's just bumped. He's bumped into a better winner, hasn't he?
Jim Crowley, what a nice hour he's had, eh?
They're amazing, those horses with the dartboard on. We talked about this before. Your Gullivers, your Escobars. They have some heart on your sleeve horses, don't they? But they don't often endure some bad luck as well.
Gulliver's a heart on your sleeve horse, is he?
No, I'm talking about they've got other horses. What's the other one they've got? Withensea and all those horses. Horses that like to go from the front. Well, they've got a couple in these big handicaps. I was asking Barry before, maybe they're Irish owners because they like to go over to the current, don't they? Gulliver. Oh. Scream at the telly horse and don't get it out. But he does get over the line usually once a year. And Escobar as well. The stronger they go, the better Escobar gets. I remember one year Danny Tudhope was in this race and he literally had nowhere to go. But May Danny, if ever horses deserved a big handicap, do you remember Ascot last year on the wrong side? He hosed up, didn't he? And
look, he's in the right spot all the way here. We're watching the replay now. He's 6th here. He's one off the rail and he still nearly finds the trouble. He does get out of it. I mean, he gets there and he has to dive right up.
Johan went across him, didn't he, a bit?
Does a little bit, but he has to dive right up the inside. He tries to come 3 off the rail to get the run, but that's where the congestion is. So he has to dive up the inside, and Johan still nearly mullers him, but he gets out in the end. He had enough tactical pace to get past him, and that's the end of that.
Magical Morning came there looming. He must have made a
big move. He must have made a big move.
He did 2 to 3 out. He was
Look at Orban. This is the one that you called out. Watch back. This is a replay race, isn't it, for the rest of the season? Cambridgeshire, etc., like that. Guess who's on Orban? Oh, Jamie, he's absolutely flown, isn't he? Steadied him right out the back.
He missed the break actually.
A horse that looked like he hadn't really, come back in much form. Really, I mean. Just stuck really, but he was last of 13 behind Magical Morning and Maidani last time. So that's
he had been high in the weights, Orban, and he's come down very gradually to a part where he's well enough handicapped to run well again. He might find the race at York. He has won at York off a big mark before, I think. And he might go back to York for a race at the Ebor Festival next.
Yes, what's the horse that they train, the O'Maras, that loves York in the green and white colours? What's his name? Firmament.
Firmament, that's correct. Yeah.
He's the new Firmament, is he?
He might be. I mean, I just know that I'm sure he's won at York or run a massive race at York.
Acquitted was there as well. So that Eclipse Day Sandown handicap, it's been a huge.
Magical Morning
but Magical Morning's.
Wow, Frankie's looking
like a light, but then
Frankie's looking down. Frankie, you made a massive move
the time before, didn't he? Before he won, he
second
did that,
and the third, a bang there, and. Yeah.
Might be that sort of horse, mightn't he? It's a bit all or nothing, but I think Frankie did make a very, very swift. As they were turning, you saw them in profile, and I thought to myself, I wouldn't want to be any further back than Ross Colin, who it turns out was far enough back as it was. Magical Morning was behind him and ended up on the front 2 out.
Now, we are now bidding adieu to the Golden Mile, one of the greatest handicaps. We're on the flat all season because we've got to go on. I said that it was a triple B, a BB gun attack for Shadwell. Jim Crowley is all of a sudden on a rather large treble here, guys. Now, Batash, Barry, let's get it up. He was going towards him 5-2 when I had a slide check, and I was thinking, what mad world am I living in? But now, I guess, with multiples potentially running up, people latching onto the fact that this Shadwell colours are going to be on the big favourite. He cannot go bigger than 2-1 in this, surely.
He's 9-4 now, 3.2 at the moment on the exchange, 3.95 Dragon Symbol, so that's coming in for support. 6-2 Art Power. Sueza is 9-2 and it's 20 bar. I was going to lay Batash, but I don't think you can take it on with any confidence at that price. Like I'd be a layer around a 6-4, 7-4 absolute top. So what we might do, Keith, is just put in and set our own odds and see if the market comes our way. If it doesn't, it's just a sit-out race for me.
So what odds?
I've backed our power in our multiple bet, and we've 2 places so far in the multiple bet, an 18-1 chance and a 14-1 chance. So we could do it our power place in here in our Yankee. The last leg's a non-runner, obviously. But, yeah, Batash, we'll look to lay it at around... what's a realistic price that it's going to come into?
Before the off, or?
I'd say 2.7.
Oh, no, pre-race. Yeah, I don't want to lay it in running.
2.74?
286, 288 around that.
Yeah,
Maybe,
let's do
potentially.
286. Let's do 286. And for how much, Barry?
286, we'll take 50 quid at a backer stake, yeah.
Barry, am I missing something? Who's the other placed horse in your Yankee?
So we had the one in the first race,
Yes.
Withhold, and Bedouin Story was placed as well.
Oh, was he? Oh, lovely. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Sorry, pardon me. I thought he was out the
Yeah,
back.
he finished fifth.
Oh,
No, he
brilliant.
finished fifth.
Oh, well
Okay.
played, Judge.
We're doing a
Very
poll out there as well, I believe, aren't we? We've been doing these polls. We had a good one yesterday. We've got a social poll for you coming up as well. Ah, there it is. Who wins the King George then? I asked you, are you with or against? 46% of you. Come on, keep the faith, Batash. 46%. Dragon Symbol, pretty much to the market then, isn't it? 29%. And Art Power as well. Just don't get the Art Power thing. A lot of people seem to like him, and others 11% as well.
I'm sick of you slagging off Art Power.
Here we go.
I do it a lot.
Here it's coming. Here it's coming, right? Why was this horse a 6 furlong horse?
What, you don't think he's a 6 furlong horse?
What, they moved him up to 6. He won that Balmoral, a Holyrood House.
What are you having to go at me about that? I don't
You
plot
sat there and
horse.
slagged off the horse. And I'm coming to tell you why you've got this one a bit wrong, actually.
Okay, so the last time he ran over 5 furlongs, Keith Melrose,
Nunthorpe.
was in the Nunthorpe.
Wasn't a run, was it? He just blew it. He absolutely blew his brains.
The time before that, he won a 3-year-old handicap
At Royal Ascot.
at Royal Ascot.
It was a Holyrood House handicap, and he won it by 3 lengths or something. That's a thrashing at 5 furlongs. He's absolutely diddled up. And
The way you said thrashing there.
I know,
He's got a bit of the borders about him there. And
No, he's winning this one, Dave. You need to pull something out. The
Look, I'm going to come
his
back very
last 2
quickly in a
starts,
minute.
he run in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes, which obviously a very stiff
Yeah.
6 furlongs, and he's really made his best way home and finished. He finished third in that race, I think. And then he ran in the July Cup, which is an easier 6, and I thought, right, we're going to get into Art Power here. You know, it's a 2 or 3 seconds quicker for the standard times than they ask at 6 furlongs. And he's ended up 2 horses on the far side, and he's made the running, and he's still finished 4th in that race. He's shown so much this bright speed. He is a 5 furlong horse.
What happened in the Nunthorpe?
He was 3 and he blew his brains.
He couldn't go the pace. He probably took the walk, you're saying, over to the start worse than Batash.
Unless Don Poley was there running for him, that's not going the pace. That was a horse that couldn't keep. That was a horse that wasn't going.
Well, plenty of horses. Kayamore nearly got him at it, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I'm sure Kayamori would leave him for dead as well.
Listen, he's drawn in stall 1. That's also...
That's not great. Look, hands up. That's the one.
Okay, you're 2 off Batash, but what are you going to do? This is a horse that's caught between 5 and 6, basically. And he gets 6 absolutely fine. He's 3rd in a diamond.
Because he's done that, though, you can have the confidence that you go, well, how fast can I go? Because he's not going to go too fast over Goodwood's 5 furlongs.
Shall we have a look at the comment from his trainer, Tim Easterby, because Barry likes it as well. Should we get this out of the way? Do you like him as well, Art Power?
Like who? Like
Art
Art Power? I quite like him. I'm sort of in the middle. To be honest, Dave, when I started looking at this race, I was thinking, why is Art Power always so short? But then I actually look at the last run at Newmarket, and he's got a little pull with Dragon Symbol. So I think he's probably, and I think he's probably right that 5 is the best trip. So I
mean, he was 10s yesterday.
I thought I was going to be a layer, but I'm going to sit on the fence with him.
He's never run here, has he? And his trainer, Tim Easterby, I nearly called him just Tim, but I don't want to get...
Timbo.
I don't want to go...
Timmy.
Yeah.
T-Bone Easterby.
Call him Tim.
It's either Sir or...
Sir Easterby.
Well, more so-
I think let's go with that one.
More so than Mr. Haggett, because they own half of Yorkshire, don't they?
Oh, quite, yeah, exactly.
You never know whether they're going
He
to act
owns the
around...
other half.
Right, try again. You never know whether they're going to act around Goodwood until you try, but he's adaptable. He's never found a problem with any track he's run at, except when he ran in the Nunthorpe. He's a good horse. He's in good form at home, and if he shows us the speed he went on his last 2 runs, he'll go really well. Now, he's one of a couple of horses here that have to he's got to reinvent himself back at 5. Dragon Symbol back at 5. I'm not so bullish as Archie Watson was.
The last time he ran over 5 furlongs, it was at Hamilton. He was in a condition stakes. He was running uphill and punching down, is the way I termed it in the paper today. You know, and he will probably be fine at 5, but everything else in the race definitely will be.
He's drawn it in 11. Sways is the other horse, the French horse, who I thought would run really well in the Commonwealth Cup. You can't say it was the ground there for her because she's been running on...
I think she's too fast.
She's the money horse in the race.
Yeah,
12 to 1.
She was too fast for a Commonwealth Cup.
The comment from Francois Roja in your members section in your papers today, she's been fine since Ascot. It's really disappointing with her there, behind Dragon Symbol, of course, and is an easy filly to deal with. Olivier Pellier, the great French jock, knows her by heart and thinks she's a 1,000 metre, 5 furlong, basically, filly. I have a similar opinion, not maybe totally the same, and William Buick is in agreement as well. William keeps the ride. She's never, ever run over 5. 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5 and 5. But the other
This
thing
is going to...
You know how we assume in all sprints are evenly run in Britain, because they sort of are? It's not the case necessarily in France so much. Even sprints to try and hold them for a little bit.
When she prepped for All Ascot, she was going away over 6.
Because that pre-Tex Anita that she won by 3 lengths, the second's won a listed race since. And that was the same race that Wooded came and won last year very impressively. And I didn't think Wooded was a 5 furlong horse, but he was. This horse is a more obvious 5 furlong horse. I think she's faded as much as anything in the Commonwealth Cup. I think she is a 5 furlong horse. I think they're absolutely right on what they say from the evidence I see on the television.
She definitely, if she hadn't run in the Commonwealth Cup, she probably would be. She probably would be clear third favourite, I'd imagine, in this. We've got some old favourites, of course, in this race, or just some favourites indeed. Liberty Beach is still only 4-year-old. But one filly we've been desperately waiting to come back onto the track is definitely one of your favourites, is the Old Slippers.
Yeah, it's Glass Slippers. I've backed Glass Slippers. I think she's a ridiculous price. Now, obviously, the big neg with her is that she doesn't go very well first time out traditionally. And reading the training comments today, she's had a bit of an interrupted preparation. They were going to run her at Ascot and she pulled a muscle.
Yeah.
It's the first problem they'd had. He said he would have liked to have got a racecourse gallop into her, but the ground's been wrong. So they probably haven't given her that one real proper hard piece of work that you'd like to have seen to bring her here cherry ripe. But that's, I can't believe they're just going to come here and...
We had some great shouts at her last year. Do you remember at the Curragh when we covered her win there? That was a brilliant day. She could keep busy. And you backed her in the without market last year, I remember.
I did indeed, yeah.
She came second to Batash.
She's 25 to win this.
It's taken her obviously a long time to get over the Breeders' Cup.
She's so close to them on ratings.
Yeah.
What she did at the Breeders' Cup was just brilliant. I'm more than happy to take the chance at 25.
It's a sort of horse that you don't want to see drifting.
I don't care. I honestly don't.
They've had a pretty good week as well, haven't they?
I take your point, Keith. There's some drifts you don't care about. This one would suggest that the word is that she'll come on for the run. I mean,
never ran well fresh, has she?
She never has done, Barry. But then she's had 3 runs where she hasn't run well. You can't.
She'll be getting safe for the autumn campaign because her races are Curragh, their Breeders' Cup, their Abbey. She probably gets built up for an autumn.
Yeah, but also this would be a lot later than normal for her reappearance, so they can't have her too fat.
They ummed and ahed with starting off over 6 furlongs. That was one thing that they did.
Look,
Diamond Jubilee was going to be the one.
The only reason she's double figure price, and let alone 25, is that it's her first run, and traditionally she hasn't run very well.
This will leave her spot on for the Nunthorpe.
I'm sure it will,
that's
Barry.
the way they're thinking.
I'm sure it will, but what I'm saying is if I like her that much, and I think she's competitive there, and she wins, I haven't had a huge bet, but at 25 you don't need to have a huge bet, do you? I want to just put a chip on the number and hope the ball lands on Glass Slippers.
They'll be wanting to go back to the Breeders' Cup. I haven't had that absolutely on record, but they were gutted that only Kevin, the trainer, could go over with the skeleton staff last year because they were that in Yorkshire and Tom Eve, they were going mad about it. I got a text from Adam Ryan, the assistant trainer that night, and just saying, please, Lord, could you stay in training with you? Should be better at 5. So that's where Bruce is playing. I'm not deserting Batash. Absolutely not. I think this will be 5 time. I just don't get it. I think at what point does Dragon Symbol go over the top a little bit? He's had some hard races, isn't he?
And God, he come into Goodwood and he's a horse. He's like a fish. He just wafts all over the place.
That's a great shout. He's in 11, so that's probably going to help him, isn't it? Unless they come centre.
Needs a stall. Needs to get in the rail.
What way is he like a fish?
He goes all over the place.
He weaves all over. He hangs all over the place.
Is that what fish does?
Because how does a fish swim?
It's got you there.
Waggles its fins.
No, does it go straight? I mean, not really. They go all over. I got that. Goes like a fish.
Really?
Not an often. Saying you often here. I'm going to go there, but
Okay, fair enough.
anyway.
I was chancing my arm. I've never heard it in my life, to be honest.
Has he got the rail draw? No, he hasn't.
Invented a new racing cliche there.
I know. I tell you what, it's why I'm in the game.
But if you remember at Haydock, Sandy Lane, all over the place, came back, and at Ascot it was the famous.
Yeah,
finish,
absolutely.
wasn't it?
And yeah, so he's a hanger. So we've got that. He needs to get the rail basically. Otherwise, he's going to do exactly the same.
He ran a.
When he hangs, he tends to go right. So
ran
maybe
a
the rails
belter,
don't help.
didn't he, behind Starman, of course, and this is the July Cup form.
Again,
Gracie
hang
Forster's
right.
in that race, ran well in the Lennox. So
Ended up right on the rail, didn't he? He started his move in the centre of the track.
going to want to get the
ended up on
rail then.
But will the rail matter? Because it's the rail's on his left.
Yeah, the
He hangs right.
Yeah, he could hang
matter.
away from that.
Yeah, he could hang away
It
from
could
it.
actually
One
be
sprint
worse.
in all but name, really, isn't it? This
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah, really
This is
tremendous.
brilliant, this. And I think this is the hardest. Well, it's probably not the hardest one because Batash would have run against Caravaggio and Blue Point in this, wouldn't he? presumably?
Blue
Am I
Point
right
and
there?
Marsha was in that race the first year.
Yeah. So it's probably, it wouldn't necessarily, I mean, numerically it's hard, isn't it? And there's a lot of depth to this race. I mean, I look at old Arecibo. I mean, if there's one track where, a horse like Arecibo and Goodwood, you'd think he's absolute recipe for a hard luck story, wouldn't you? And Jamie. But you never know. You might find that it's somehow
excellent Kevin Morlin actually put him up.
Yeah.
his 10-year trends.
I can tell you that very
I've got
shortly.
a feeling he might. I've seen Arecibo's name in bold somewhere.
Well,
today.
our colleague in Ireland, David Jennings, absolutely loved Arecibo last season, and he kept finishing
With
5th and
O'Mara.
6th. And now this season, he's
gone to the Sprint King,
he's a
as we
new
used to call
model,
him.
isn't he?
Robert
Yeah.
Cowell, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Sprint King.
And shown definitely different sides to his game, 100%.
Yeah, he has gone for Arecibo.
Yes.
Good old Kevin.
Yeah, there you go. So all the trends points towards, for those of you that like ticks in boxes for the right races, Kevin Morley, the excellent Kevin Morley, has put them up as well. Let's have a look at how Kills is doing thus far.
He makes the point, by the way, that 5-year-olds have won, and older, have won 7 of the last 10. So that is a neg for Art Power and Dragon, isn't it? And obviously Swacer as well. So
Yeah, I had a 3-year-old's fair in this, of course, with Batash. It's a bit of a lopsided sample, but only 2, of course. Last 3-year-old to win was Batash when he came out and absolutely blew them away, 9-2 that day. And
Well, it wasn't hard. It was Marsha was in there in Blue Point. It was
movie star, do you remember him?
and he come
yeah,
from
Harry Redknapp was
Yeah.
involved in
That
it,
was-
wasn't he?
and he'd come from
That's a
he'd
source.
come from like listed races when he won that race here before. So you know, I could see why he
The
wasn't.
arrival of Batash, wasn't it? But this is his playground.
In the last 7 years, only 3 horses have won this. Who's the dual winner? Batash has won it 4 times. Who
is
won
that?
it the year before? Who's also won it twice?
Barry,
I got it. Take colour.
Yeah, well
Straight
done, Barry.
cover.
Straight in the
old boy.
Yeah.
How old was he? 9-year-old.
He was a 9-year-old.
He was old
when
enough to
won it
smoke,
the
wasn't
second
he?
time, yeah.
Wow, he took it as a 7-year-old, didn't it? Look, this is an absolute belter. Let's get some more socials up then. We've seen the poll. Where's Damon Moffat going? Sorry, Damon, come back on. Not convinced they're confident about Batash, the trainer, etc. Dragon symbol for me, but if Batash wins, fair play. I can see a lot of people approach it at the race exactly the same, Damon. Alan Chronic comes back on and says, Arecibo and Dragon symbol for me. We've given you a word on them. On their day, they're going to come out and play. And Kevin Finnerty, welcome to the show, Kevin. The thing is about Batash, the thing is with him, if he has a shocker, no one would be surprised.
I would these days.
Concentrate on that.
No, I would these days. He doesn't have shockers much anymore, does
I think
he?
he's become just steady Eddie these days. Rather, it was so shocking what he started to do in the Temple Stakes in York and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean,
Seismic shocks.
the way I put it, he always sets off fireworks, but sometimes he used to forget to take them out of his pocket first. You know, that was what he.
We're all
used to be like.
forgetting what a decent race he ran on his return.
Yeah, he did perfectly well.
It was okay.
He was the only one of the pace setters that stayed up there.
So what?
He's
Why
won a
does that
massive
matter?
race.
Why does that matter?
Because
they
he
They
lasted.
start in the stalls and they finish by the line and they go at their own pace
Because
and they get there. And it doesn't matter what's around
Because
them.
the pace collapsed. That's
Doesn't
what I'm saying.
matter.
Well, he was the only one that lasted. It was his return.
So what? It
He
means
w-
the others went off too quickly.
Me and Kills were unanimous about it. He's going to bring
I
Kills
think
in with
that's
this
a
as
myth.
well.
I think it's a total myth.
Well, listen, for me, it's not. I thought he was the horse to take out of the King's
You'll be
Stand.
right, but I'm just saying I don't believe that it matters what the others do. I don't think it matters.
What it shows is that he's still got his speed, but what we don't know yet is whether he's still got his form. That's what we could, because he didn't run up to form.
Do you think punters are holding the Ascot defeat to Blue Point against it as well? I mean, Blue Point turned out to be absolute top notch.
You're going
It's
back
hardly
a
A
anybody-
lot of people were on him and they were
Hardly
like, "He's
anybody
let me down there
remembers
as
that
well."
anymore.
No,
Yeah, nobody will remember
Dave,
that anymore.
Dave, they won't.
I'm just trying to work out why he is such he's not the popular horse that
Because he's 7 and he was 4th last time, and this is a hot race.
He
and there's
doesn't
a
have the
couple of flashy
1-1-1s,
young
does he?
sprinters in
No,
there.
and
Exactly. Don't forget, punters love a 1 in a form figure. They're form figures. To guys like you two, you wouldn't even give them a second thought. But you've got to remember, for the most punters in a betting shop or at home or on their app, first thing they'll check is who's riding it, who's training it, what price is it, form figures. And if they see a ton of 1s, they fall in love.
Baid is the dream horse, any price. All right, okay. Again, let us know. What do you make of Baid? Let's hear about that. Kevin Finnerty, very good. You got us talking there. Devo comes on and says, "Think Stone of Destiny could sneak some prize money here." I've given up on him, Keith. Give me a line about Stone of Destiny.
Yeah.
Frustrating Stone of Destiny.
Yeah, is he this level? That's the thing. You know, he's up. He's a sort of horse who would have been taking on Batash in this race 2 or 3 years ago. He's never been better than about a 110 horse. I'd be amazed if that was good enough to get you in the frame here.
What about Ornate? Just before we go for another one.
Well, if people are going to.
Ornate.
He's been placed in. He's been 3rd in the last 2 of these, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And people might think, oh yeah, let's go in for him on that. But remember, this is Ornate, he's a 95 horse over 5 furlongs. He'd be an 115 horse over 4 furlongs. He's that sort of horse. He's a bit of a short runner, and the reason he sort of turns up and gets placed in this race the last couple of years is because the depth hasn't been there behind Batash, and he's snuck in. I would be surprised if Ornate. I mean, you're going to get 3 great furlongs out of Ornate. He's going to blast off again, and he
Well,
might
you
keep
say
pace with
that,
any of them.
I pinned my hopes on him being the fastest horse from the gates in the country prior to the dash that we covered on episode, and he absolutely missed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on, Nate, what's going on?
Sometimes you miss the
hasn't
gun.
been quite as electric this year.
Yeah, sometimes you miss the gun, but yeah.
He's been on the go since January, mind, hasn't he? He's turned up at Southwell on the nights.
Been on the go since 2014, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. Love Ornate. We've got good effort in here as well. Some of those with the bigger prices. Ishmael Mohammed, 70% run to form strike rate for him in a minute. A likely pace angle from stall 9, you better believe it. Rated 107, but probably tilting at windmills for Nigel Tinkler, one of the most underrated sprint trainers out there still somehow. And Zargan as well, the rank outside for Ben Curtis and Scott Dixon, who's got one way of running, and that is extremely quick. Talking about horses that have been on the go, he's been all over the place. He's been to Switzerland.
What was that? Nigel Tinkler had one of the fastest horses I'd ever seen. That filly that used to run in the Nunthorpe, blue colours. Oh, she was absolutely. She used to lead the She was rated about 100 only, but she used to lead the Nunthorpe for about 3 furlongs.
Can't quite remember. Really get it out of there. We've not mentioned Liberty Beach. You talk about glass slippers. They go hand in hand together a bit, don't they?
Well, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping Glass Slippers goes a little bit in front of Liberty Beach, but she's lovely. But I mean, she's got lots of fun on the race.
What about Keep Busy?
I think he's got a better chance, but there's going to have to be a lot of a lot of better horses are going to have to run below form. I would have thought there. So I think the best you might be able to hope for if you nick a bit of 4 places is something there, but I'd be very surprised.
When do jockeys start getting frustrated about the fact that the week's not gone well for them? Definitely by now, don't they? And Ryan Moore's had one winner. Can you remember what it was? Malcolm winner.
What was it?
Armour.
For
the Hannons. That was his one winner so far.
Wow.
Yeah, he's had, of course, Wordsworth, Joan of Arc, Adjutant. When Ryan's not having a good time, punters, you said this before, it was the easiest one to bash, isn't he, Ryan?
Of course he is, yeah. Well, no, Spencer's probably the easiest one to bash, isn't he? Because he always gives him so much to do. But, look, I mean, it's funny. A few weeks ago, I saw a horse be given what I thought was a pretty bad ride. And I went on Twitter and typed the jockey's name in, and the abuse the guy got.
It's something I was giving up doing.
Disgusting. It was awful. It was just, oh my goodness.
We talked a little bit about it on this show. Actually, we had a word with Barry about it as well. Barry puts up a lay, and I don't know, to showcase, for the show. Maybe Batash, say, for example, if he gets beaten, someone next Wednesday will pick up on it, and give him a load of crap.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Madness, isn't it?
It's awful.
But the jockeys get it worse, I think. Worse than footballers?
Yeah, I do. Definitely, because people aren't. Yeah, because of the money. I think what the jockey, and also with footballers, there's a bit of normally a team collective responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all know jockeys do make mistakes, and I always had during my time as editor, I had people saying, "Oh, you go far too light on jockeys. You should be far more critical."
Really?
But I mean, what's the point? They make mistakes. Yeah, we do say that they'd like to have the ride again, but they're only human. And like I said to you before, perched on the back of a horse going at 40 miles an hour.
We often get a lot of comments on this show. Why didn't they mention why such and such was so bad? Why didn't they mention such and bad? Listen, if we see a bad ride, we do tend to call it out. But you've got to be careful. You've got to remember that these guys, listen, go back and watch the helmet cam. Sheen Murphy at Royal Ascot sums it all up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance to be struck a little bit, because these guys are professional athletes in elite sport performance. And I think when mistakes are made, that is right, that's pointed out. But it needs to be done in a very... It needs to be done in a responsible manner.
Of course, let's balance that.
The other thing is, of course, if the Racing Post starts saying, that was a pathetic ride, that was terrible, he's useless, and then all of a sudden on a Saturday at one of these courses where everyone's tanked up, there's going to be a jockey getting dragged off a horse. We don't want to be responsible for that.
Yeah, I think it happened in Australia at the start of this year when crowds came back. Someone got pulled off a horse.
What's frustrating is that balance is so difficult to strike. I wish we could be. I wish we could have a responsible and grown-up discussion about these things.
Got to be open to criticism, jockeys. I've said that on feature shows as well. Why don't we do it like Gary Neville does?
And of course, the amazing thing, guys, is that they do get a huge amount of criticism from trainers. They get a horrible time. You speak to jockeys sometimes. I had a conversation with a jockey once, and I said, which trainer's the worst for giving you a good old rollicking? He said, well, take your pick. He said they all do it, because the first thing after a race, if a horse has run badly, the trainer's got to face the owner and come up with an excuse. And the most popular excuses are the ground or the jockey. And they some of these trainers are brutal.
They're on their way to the start for the 3:35, but we continued one trainer that we've had so far on this show. I mean, obviously COVID had a bit to do with that shutting down a bit. We had Ollie Cole on, didn't we? It was when Enable came back in the Sardinia Estates, and we were asking him, rollickings and stuff like that. Do you remember the time when he said I was at Sandown and the jockey gave this horse an absolutely dreadful ride, and he and apparently got off the jockey, and the owner said, "What do you think about that?" And he goes, "Oh, he's absolutely useless, this horse, to try and cover himself." And Ollie's like, "Don't say that."
Yeah, quite. Well, that's the thing. The trainer, the owner blames the trainer blames the jockey blames
the horse. Yeah, exactly that. So Ollie was like, "He's damned if you do and he's damned if you don't." But I can imagine his old man Paul's had a couple of rollickings.
Look at Batash. He looks like he's an old dray delivering beer, doesn't he? Calm as you like as he makes his way out.
Beautiful animal he is.
He's got a new handler because his old handler retired, didn't he?
Yes.
Oh, the big fella.
Yes.
The big
Lots said about that.
Was he called Mick? Yeah.
Was it Bob, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Bob?
It was Bob, you're right.
Bob.
People were saying that's why he got beaten at Ascot. Barry.
Oh, geese piece.
Barry, where are
Yeah,
we?
Bob was his name. I was just saying Bob was his name. Yeah, he's at the 305 now, so the action should start heating up now that they've left the parade ring in terms of the betting. 4.3 Dragon Symbol, 5.4 Art Power, 9.6 Swayza, and 20 bar, 20 glass slippers. A little bit of support. That's probably your money, Bruce.
Almost certainly.
Strong at the head of the market, but Batash at 3-1 now. Steady away at that.
Yeah,
Have we mentioned them all? We have, haven't we? I
We
think.
talked about them all, have we?
No, we can't have done.
I think we have. We said about keep busy.
We didn't.
Zargan.
Zargan, I
Well,
mentioned.
make a case for Zargan.
Well, I can't make a form case. He rated 92. But they are having fun with this horse. He's been to the Curragh, isn't he? He's a seriously quick horse.
He's got some good form at York.
Quarter horse almost, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very fast.
Yeah.
And
Probably one for the all-weather again later on.
Barry, in better times, do you normally go to Goodwood?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I would. But like it. Yeah, I like the races and that. But afterwards, there's very little going on around. It's not like Galway where everyone goes back to the centre of the town.
There's
and
nothing there, is there? It's in the middle of nowhere.
There's nothing. Yeah,
You need a bit of action, Barry, do you?
Yeah.
There's no action whatsoever.
And
there's no crack in
There
it.
isn't even a town, is there, where everyone decamps to? Because they all stay in various little villages around the
Cirencester,
place.
is that it?
Cirencester, that's near
Midhurst.
Cheltenham. That'd take you about 2 hours to get there. No, it's
He's a mile in.
Chichester. Chichester.
Chichester, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Godalming's
Chichester.
that way,
But
isn't it?
there's no cracking it at all from a night point of view that you go and meet people and have a few beers or that. There's
Not like Chester.
Very little
and
going
now
on.
we can see why that's one of your favourite tracks, Barry. Or we said about bogey tracks. We've asked about favourite tracks over the time. And Chester keeps coming up with Barry. It's one of the best nightlifes out there, Barry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not only that. It's you don't need to hire a car or anything. You're in the centre of the town. You walk to the race course in 5-10 minutes from no matter where you're staying. And the walk back, you stop and have a beer in a pub, a couple of pubs, and it's just great crack. There's always a convivial and jovial atmosphere at the race course, and it's got a certain air about it, Chester. I really, really like it.
And it's so close to the town centre, to the city centre, isn't it? It's you can literally just, it's a short walk.
It's also
isn't
the most expensive track to go into. 60 quid, someone told me.
Is it?
To get in.
Well,
normal meeting.
So if you ever go, because obviously
60 quid.
the gap between the third best meeting at Chester and the fourth best meeting at Chester is a yawning chasm, but you wouldn't know it from the crowds at
No,
turn.
they get
No,
huge
no.
crowds.
Yeah.
Saturdays in the
huge
summer.
crowds.
Oh, it's horrific.
Right, old cracker. Well, Barry, we can't wait to have you back whenever you're coming over. We're not too far off, man, are we now? I don't think.
But Keith,
No, definitely not.
you do need to go to Goodwood, Keith. It's a beautiful day. And I always drive. And I love the drive. It's a
was
beautiful
talking about it earlier,
road,
yeah.
isn't it? And I've never drunk at Goodwood, but I've always found it the most delightful atmosphere. And if you get a sunny day, on top of the grandstand on
Have you
the
ever
hill
worn a
there-
Panama?
No. You're
not into all that?
I'm not really. But if you look one side of the grandstand, you can see the sea shimmering, and you can see the Isle of Wight, and you can see all the way to Portsmouth one way and Brighton. Now,
God's race course.
and then, I kind of agree with you. I've just never heard it called that.
I'm amazed.
But the other side, you've got the Downs, and you've got that gorgeous view, haven't you? You've been there, haven't you?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
honestly, if
I've
you've
been there in
never
all
been
sorts
to
of weather.
Goodwood, I promise you, there's times where you'll stand there and you'll think, my God, this is the most
Yeah.
beautiful place imaginable. It really is that nice, kid. Have I sold it to you?
Yeah, you've tried.
He's been to Ascot once.
No, I definitely need to go to Goodwood. It's one of these courses because it is so far away from everything. You get to London's a trek, and then you've got another trek to get down there.
Could have run another social on that, couldn't we? Could have run a poll on that.
Going
What's
in,
the big drag you've not been to?
Big drift here, Barry.
Yeah, out to 3.3.
3.3 now, yeah, 385 Dragon Symbol, 5.4 Art Power. So they've come for the three around the favourite, really. Dragon Symbol, Art Power, and Swayza.
9 to 40. You must be going in at 9.
This is absolute madness. I can't believe what I'm seeing here.
And Glass Slippers is out to 30. That's ridiculous. What's going on there? Good money for Liberty Beach into 20. Good money for Swayzer into 8.4, as Barry
You
said.
can only assume that glass slippers won't fit in this stall.
Well, yeah. I'm really looking forward to
Art
this
Power
race,
in
aren't you?
stall 1.
You
Batash.
excited?
Of course, massively. This has been the race of the week I've been
It's only
waiting.
going to last a minute, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be a beauty.
Oh, don't you worry about that. We will give it some welly, won't we? Very much so. At what point are you going to go to Barry for the market, do you think? After, because it's tricky, it's 5 furlongs.
No, we'll get a very
I'll let
quick...
you know if there's any massive news. I'll let you know.
Okay,
Don't worry
Barry,
about that.
you just pipe up. And,
You kick on with the. You just kick on with the commentary.
Okay, mate. Right, he's blindfolded Batash, but he's going in. He's being a perfect gentleman. He's in. Most of them are in. In fact,
this
they're
is
all
it.
in. Here we go then for the King George Qatar Stakes. They're off and running. Batash breaks perfectly well from stall 3. Art Powers well from stall 1. And on the outside, the other market principal, Dragon Symbol, just dropped out and behind. And they're shying away from the near side rail. They're going down in the middle of the track and setting the pace is ornate. And the other yellow-clad runner is Good Effort in second. Well up there as well is Arecibo. You don't normally see him on the scene that early. Going nicely on the outside is Batash, also going well is Liberty Beach. In a pocket, I would say, is Dragon Symbol. He's going to need a little bit of
Art
luck.
Power needs Towster, doesn't he, I think?
Liberty
Yeah,
Beach has got daylight now.
Where's the Dragon? He's going
Arecibo
well.
down the near side's flying. He's never
Dragon's
gone
going
this
well.
far up. Look at Arecibo.
Dragon Symbol favoured in running.
Arecibo's
be.
absolutely flying. Here comes
Go on,
Dragon Symbol. Here
Batash.
comes
What have we got
Batash.
under the bonnet?
They're going to have to go some to beat
Here
it.
he comes.
And who's this?
Oh, Suiza. Oh, hello.
Oh, he's beaten. He's beaten, I don't believe it.
Coming down,
Dragon Symbol. Dragon
Swayze.
Symbol hanging way right again.
Symbol, Swayze, Dragon Symbol, and then down the
Glass
far
Slippers, what a
outside,
beauty.
we've got Glass Slippers. Swayze wins it.
Wow.
By 3 lengths, Dragon Symbol is second, and Glass Slippers finishes third.
Oh, the
Wow,
Batash bubble has burst then. Swayze, that's what she was supposed to do in the Commonwealth Cup. Barry Orr, you said Dragon Symbol. He became the fish that Melrose thought he would be. She kept a straight line.
He did get a place.
She was the best backed horse in the race without a shadow of a doubt. She's matched at the highest 17 on the Betfair Exchange. She had a Betfair SP of 7.9. In running news, Dragon Symbol hit a low at 202. At 202, 160 quid traded at 202, so just even money for him. Batash in running hit a low at 246. That mightn't have even been in running, to tell you the truth. That was probably pre-race. He never seemed to travel with his usual fluency. Outside of that, Arecibo, did someone mention him as travelling well?
Yes,
Yeah, he was flying along. He got
Yeah,
fourth in the end.
4.3 hit a low of, considering his Betfair SP was 4.040. So, yeah, fantastic race. And, yeah, the filly getting all the allowances. And she went off favourite. She was 9-4 favourite for the Commonwealth Cup.
Oh, tell me about it, Barry.
really?
This is my one of my anti-post picks of the week, and of course, I wasn't with her here. Great to see a French horse coming over and winning, especially with the difficulties at the moment. Duhel would have gone close when he sort of run in Sussex as well. We were giggling in here because Bruce, at least he got a place, but he didn't batter them.
No.
This is the fish that is Dragon Symbol, Keith. Yeah.
Look at him. Yeah, he's hung right again. You watch him, he comes up. But I tell you, I think we can get a little bit wrapped up in everything because every horse in this race has a story of some sort. But the winner's just bloody good, isn't she?
Yeah, by far the best sprinter in France. They said she was coming to the Commonwealth Cup. I don't buy it was the ground. I think she probably, maybe it's an Ascot thing. She just didn't turn up on the day. Glass Slippers. Oh, there we go. We're
was a
back,
good run.
aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, slightly disappointed. I just backed a win only. That was stupid, wasn't it? But never mind.
You didn't place with her.
Dragon
Then,
Symbol. Look here, Dragon Symbol gets out.
Get off the Art Power thing now.
Yeah, I was going to
Please.
bring that up in a minute. Actually, I was going to sit in judgment there because Art Power's been well beaten. So well done to you for that.
I just don't get it. Sometimes these horses, I was terribly wrong with Batash. Look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and he has run up a bit short. He's like a horse that probably is in the decline something because this is his. It looks like it's very much a second run back. I wonder if they might have just let him try and get others out of the comfort zone a little bit more. It looked like quite a leisurely sort of pace for a 5 furlong sprint. I know Ornate went on with it, but they weren't
The fact
strung
that
out. were they?
Arecibo was up there. I mean, he normally needs to be right out the back.
There's
doesn't
another
he?
nice prize in that chap, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
He
He finished
cruised
fourth
into it.
there.
Yeah,
It's a good run by him.
massive run.
Very good run.
Look at Dragon. He just goes right and right. Where are they going to have to run him so he doesn't do that?
Breeders' Cup, probably on the turn, something like that. I don't know.
Oh, if he did it at the Breeders' Cup, he'd
Are they
end up
just
in the
keeping him to
stands.
sprint? It's a straight track, they are, aren't they? Where can we go around the bend? Where can we go sprint around the bend? We need a bend for him, don't we?
Impressive.
What do you think at Ascot? He'd just go around the bend, or
If I'd
Chester or something like that, he'd go the other way.
Pretty to come down the rail at Haydock or something. I don't
Do
know.
you think this is a horse that's saying I might need to break guys a little bit for all as talented as he is and as close as he's gone there, or
Dragon
is it a
Symbol?
trait?
Why has he done anything different to what in previous run? He's done exactly the same as he has in every.
Has he always done that? Did he do it at the start of his career? Is what I mean. Like when he played
I don't know, to be honest. I've only really been watching.
When he slammed significantly at Haydock, Hamilton, sorry, he kept a straight line there seemingly, and at Kempton the time before he made all.
The trainer, do you?
Francois Roja, no, not a great deal. He has some very big horses in France, obviously, and George Strawbridge, the owner, who we used to associate in America, and with John Gosden. This is a horse in training purchase for George, very unusual. They don't tend to do that operation. So could this be a Breeders' Cup horse in the making? Because Strawbridge, of course, will want to see that, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Or will she go back to
14 for the Nunthorpe lads? 5 from 14 for the Nunthorpe. Golden Pal, your 7-2 favourite in that market, but she has to come into it surely.
Who's favourite for that one? Sorry.
Golden Pal, the American.
Yeah.
So this Roja, he trained Signs of Blessing, didn't he? Won the Morris de Geest, but I don't know if he's had any other.
Not really. No. This would be up there, I think, for Francois. But of course, with the restrictions at the minute. It's great to see, isn't it? These international horses, we're used to it.
Yeah, it is good. And I'll tell you what, the connections at Glass Slipper will be pleased as punch.
They'll be
exactly.
They'll be absolutely chuffed.
They're having a good week. Last
actually
end part of it, a couple of big places.
She gets carried right by Dragon Symbol as well. She's the one that gets carried.
We're seeing the head on now. Actually, I don't think there's any excuse for Batash. He's in perfect position. It just hasn't happened for him, has it?
Absolutely.
Looking back at Glass Slippers, there, he's not been hard on her really at any stage, as he's not gone right. You can sort of see this was very much a first run back.
Yeah, she does get a bit of a bump there, doesn't she? Yeah.
And you can see why they're thinking about 6 again for her, can't you? But go back to the Curra, I guess, for the Flying 5. Perfect for her.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the Abbey.
That's it. You should go.
Yeah, the Abbey will have a go.
Flying 5, Abbey, Breeders' Cup.
That's a lovely autumn target.
Yeah, that's the thing, Abbey for this winner as well.
And she's ground agnostic as well, isn't she?
Well, I thought she might have been more of a soft ground horse until she won that race in Keeneland.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have been served up a treat, not Batash. The 5-timer wasn't on. We'll see what we were just watching people on track now getting a word from Jim Cray. He looks a little bit, of course, he's dejected, isn't he? He's
had a good day. He's had a good day, but when you win those early races, it's all well and good. And obviously, Bade will really excite him, but he was hoping to put the icing on the cake there.
See Lee there with his
dictaphone.
Getting him, wasn't he? His dictaphone, straight in. So
Dad came up with a horrible lookalike shout for Lee Morrishead the other day. He said it looked like Ray Reardon's son.
Oh, that's not a bad shout.
Is it?
Because he's grown his hair quite long.
I noticed that.
That's
when
a good shout.
When I saw the hair growing, I thought maybe that's what my dad was getting at.
Ray Reardon's son,
I don't know what Ray Reardon's son looks like, but he looks a bit like a young Ray Reardon. I think that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we've been
give you the time, Keith, of the King George and viewers and Bruce out there and Barry. It was slow by 2.15 seconds. So
I mean, the wind's probably right in their face all the way there.
Yeah.
It's when you're just
slow enough.
Yeah.
It came down the middle as well. How much is that going to impact us for tomorrow? We got the consolation.
It's an interesting. They all clamoured in that draw ceremony that we all watched diligently. They all clamoured for the high stalls to begin with in the Stewards' Cup, but.
Oh, you're interested in it now?
Well, you watched it.
A lot of fancied horses down the middle.
First 3 or 4 to get an idea of where they want to go first and just be informed by that.
Isn't the most interesting bit there though, Keith? The first time someone flies or swims against the tide there. So they might all start off going low. And then if someone who gets, say, the 5th pick suddenly says, no, I'm going to go on the far side, that's a clue as well, isn't it?
Depends who that person is a lot of the time. It's somebody that you think might be shrewd or somebody that you think's just bored.
What we should have done when they first started doing these is get on the database and compared performance of draw preference, draw pick with overall performance and get some impact values out of that. That would have been good.
I would have loved to have done something like that.
It's where the pace is, isn't it? Let's face it.
It's where the pace is. That's it.
And
that's your York. You see your York thing.
Cup tomorrow looks.
See your York aversion. Yeah. That's what it is. Look for the pace.
Keith, again, I've tried that, mate. I've had a go, old boy, and it's still York has not worked for me. York's my bogey track, if you hadn't guessed.
On the horse's neck there.
It looks like
what sways it? It's like a scattering of sweat, isn't it? Or it's like
what I thought, but
I didn't know she had that. It's a windy old day down there, that's for sure. So listen, you can get the quotes, the beaten horses, Batash, and you can get them from Swayzer as well. Where will she go? Nunthorpe, says Barry. Or listen, she's got to be fancy for that. We're hoping Wes's horse comes over, of course, Golden Pal. The best I've ever trained. He said it to us in the studio. He said it again editorially since. Whizzed up, didn't he, when we saw him at, was it Saratoga?
Yeah, I mean, Wesley Ward's quite good at bigging his horses up, isn't he? So we'll take
Never.
He's a grade 1 trainer at that, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Bullish, man. I've got a feeling that 5-1 won't last, Barry, will it? Swayzer, that sounds big to my ears. I've got to say that's one that's surely got to be under pressure, I think, because 5-1, 7-2, Philly's allowance.
It's already been cut.
Favor.
I mean, your sister company Paddy's have already cut her again, Barry.
There you go.
This is a good discussion. The most bullish and the most pessimistic trainers of all time. The most bullish was easily Clive Britton. They were all brilliant. They were all going to win. Yeah.
Little dance, yeah.
And then Captain Tim Forster, who was slightly before the time. None of them were going to win. No, this.
All right, then. Most pessimistic. Who would be the most pessimistic trainer?
Forster.
Right. So he was the contrast.
He was. Yeah. He.
All right.
He was famous. He was famous for it.
Yeah,
I guess it's quite downbeat a lot of the time.
He can be. Yeah, he can.
Roger Varian.
Yeah, you think
Can
Rog?
be.
He's not very flappable, is he?
Forward defensive of a man, isn't he? In terms of his quotes, in terms of what he says.
I think he gives you plenty, but he doesn't tell you they're going to win or they're not going to win, if you know what I mean.
Enough,
I think
yeah.
I really like Roger Varian. He's one of my favourite trainers.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I don't like him.
No, I'm not.
I'm not saying
I know
I don't like him. He's very methodical and he's a very intelligent man, no doubt. But he'd never give. You'd never read one of his quotes and think, "Geez, I'm having a few quid on this."
No.
You know the way.
Do you think they've learned a bit more as the years have gone on with social media and quotes like we give now? No, you don't think so?
I don't think any of them have.
Who's the trainer that comes out and goes, "This cannot lose"? Dan Skelton.
Oh yes, he loves them.
Shark Hanlon, if you're talking about
Shark Hanlon,
I
Shark
bet,
Hanlon, no one better than him at it.
Willie Mullins pessimistic?
No, Willie's sort of a bit cryptic, isn't he, really? You know, he's kind of analytical, but he doesn't really tell you much. But I mean, his son, Patrick, we're so glad we have him writing for us. It
was a really nice piece about Galway, wasn't it? The start of the week.
And obviously won the big race yesterday, didn't he? With Saudi.
They had a full-timer there last night, Charles Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was...
Now, Willie's very thoughtful and he's very interesting.
Yes.
But you have to learn how to read the quotes with Willie, you know. He's not going to tell you everything, but...
Nichols... He'd go in the bullish camp, wouldn't he?
Positive, very positive.
Yeah, he would be very positive.
Dan Skelton, definitely.
Nichols will give you stuff because his yard's not about punting to the same extent as others. Nichols will tell you something that others would keep to themselves.
We had a great story about Dan Skelton pre-Cheltenham week. Do you remember Posty was in? Charlie Post, who of course joined us on Wednesday on this show, the jockey coach and point-to-point trainer extraordinaire. And he said... Ian Popham, who's very close, the former jumps jockey, very close to the Skeltons. Apparently, they walked round. It was a dry week, wasn't it, leading up to Cheltenham? And he got off the phone. He phoned Ian Popham and went, "We are going to bleep clean up." He said, "We're going to win everything." I don't think they had the greatest Cheltenham, actually, did they? But when the ground is dry, Skeltons start to get really, really excited. I just got to love that bullishness. Future champion jumps trainer, I suppose, isn't he?
He's got the numbers now. He's got the numbers now, hasn't he? But it's how long those guys last around him. Because what happens, when Henderson decides he's obviously going to be the first to retire out of them, he's the oldest. And who gets that licence? Where do the owners go? Because the reason Henderson keeps winning trainers' titles is because he has all the owners. Yeah. And if Skelton can, get a few of those owners once Henderson relinquishes the licence, it could be Nichols versus Skelton for the trainers' title, which would be brilliant to watch.
Carl Burke's quite a positive trainer, isn't he? He's 2-year-olds are always well backed. He can, you know what I mean?
I think he gives you quite.
If this goes up to
quite a lot, doesn't he? He does give you a reasonable amount. Maybe after the race, he will tell you, "Oh yeah, we actually really do like this horse." Afterwards, and he is quite. He is quite forthcoming quite a lot, certainly after the race. Before, he might be a little bit more cautious.
All right, we're coming towards the finish line then on this Thursday, a Friday indeed, of course it is. I'm losing my mind. This is day 4 of day 5 we are bringing you. Don't forget, we're coming back tomorrow. So day 4, the penultimate day, one more race as ever, the 4:10. What fun we are indeed having. We had a bit of fun over lunch, didn't we? We've got 20 minutes until the 4:10. You would think, Barry, wouldn't you? Racing Post, editor, as we now call him, not former editor, he's the president.
Editor Millington.
Editor Millington. You might think that we might go somewhere fancy for lunch. Paul Keeley, Keith Melrose, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington. Imagine if you're a punter, a betting shop punter, you're like, what are they doing walking in? Where did we go to?
Went to the Greasy Spoon.
We went to the Greasy Spoon, Barry. Unbelievable scenes. It's Gill's favourite.
I'm not surprised that a couple of those runners in a Greasy Spoon, and I'd say there wasn't much left. But with Bruce now, I'm surprised at him because I know he looks after himself. He does a bit of running and he looks like a fit fella. So I'm surprised at him
couldn't get a word in from talking about his lipids going through the roof.
Yeah. The Oxo Tower, one of the best restaurants in London, is nearer to the office than this Greasy Spoon. And not only did we have to go to the Greasy Spoon, we had to go to the Cash Point first as well, because it's cash only.
It's the only place in the pandemic that was cash only, wasn't it? It is a great gaff we got around here. I went for the burger. You went for the full mixed grill with Keeley, didn't you?
Yeah.
He didn't say a lot of kills, actually, did he? He is a pro, isn't he, there? And you went for the mini mixed grill.
I went for the junior mixed grill.
You
yeah,
did,
like
but cup of tea with it.
We had a park run tomorrow. I've got to be up.
Is that what it is? What, we had a mini mixed grill for your park run?
Park run every Saturday morning. It's back now.
How far's that?
5Ks.
What time you doing?
I did 24:40 last week. Hasn't bad.
Yeah.
Have you convinced your neighbour, Tony Ennis, to join you yet?
No,
He's
I
scared
haven't.
of this,
No.
by
Well,
the
the
way.
last time I saw him, okay, Ennis has moved in near me, right? And I was out doing a 10K run.
Be doing well.
And I'm running along.
Racing League now.
And all of a sudden, this Mercedes comes pulling out of its drive really quickly, right in front of me. And I'm like, you. And I look, and it's Enzo. And he's like,
He nearly took out the POTUS.
yeah, he was off on his way to Lingfield to commentate.
And
he
he's-
almost took me out.
And you said you hate breaking your run,
Oh,
don't you?
can't
It's-
stand
I
it.
can imagine
I
that
get
really.
right.
If you've got to stop for someone down a path or something.
can't stand
COVID must have been a nightmare for you because if you're going down paths, which I imagine you must be.
Oh,
where
it happens
you are.
all that, and it still happens. If you
People
run
like
past
jumping in a bush.
if you run past an old person, they'll turn their back, or they'll jump into the hedge, or they'll expect you to career into the road to
What
avoid
did you
them.
do in the height of it? Did you stop and go after you, or did you just go?
No, I do try and preempt it. I will. I'm very courteous as a runner.
So Enzo nearly took you
He
out.
took me out. Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Yeah.
not the
But never
neighbour
mind.
you'd want, I don't think. Of course, he is the Racing League commentator. And a word for the Racing League while we've got you.
What's that? No, I don't mind it. It's more prize money for a lot of horses that would never win that kind of prize. I'm not sure it's going to catch on, but let's give it a chance. It's more money coming to the game. It's potentially some new sponsors coming into the game. I do think that the idea of making it regional might have helped. I'm not quite sure why I'm meant to be rooting for any of these particular teams, but it's better than nothing. That
Give it a chance.
Well, that meeting at Newcastle yesterday, there was a lot of very valuable races, wasn't there? And I don't mind.
There's a lot of gatekeeping going on, though, isn't there, in terms of the horses that got in it, the trainers that got in it, and that's the money is welcome. You want it to be a little bit more egalitarian, a little bit more accessible than it will be through this.
Starts off with a 5 furlong race, doesn't it? And then sent me a message saying, I've got Racing League this week. He said, I went, oh, good luck, mate. You know what I mean? He goes, 5 furlong race to start. If Rose gave him to get a chance to warm up or anything
What,
like
commentating?
that. Yeah.
It's a doddle. I've shown that. I've blown it all apart.
You've done
Hoyles, Johnson,
sterling work today.
Holt, Ennis,
Scarhill.
I've shown what a complete myth it is. It's easy. Anyone can do it. Obviously, you've got to be able to identify the horses better than me.
Let me tell you, I'm still learning the job. I think everyone will agree out there. We've got one more to come then. Okay, Barry, no mogul. That means we've now got a clear favourite who was pushing him anyway.
Yeah, he was. And Passion and Glory is really strong now. When you guys start talking, he was 3.0. He's 2.94 now. And I'm going to take him on. I was taking him on, obviously, with Mogul as it was. I know he's won that race in Ascot and he's won going away over a mile too, but he's still yet to prove he gets this trip. He should, but I think there's plenty of horses in here could beat him. And I have real question marks about the Ascot race, although he won quite convincingly. The second, Fabulous, was well beaten behind Nagano here the other day. And the third horse, Naval Commander, has been well beaten since in York. So just a straightforward lay here, please, Keith. And happy to be a price taker at 296. We're going to look to take 50 quid at the backer stake at 296. Have a liability of just under 100 quid. So
Done.
happy to do that.
Absolutely. That's now on and all matched straight away.
Okay, taking on the Fav. Yeah, this looks like a race where you don't want to go too short. What does Frizzy Red say? You've been on with us all week, Frizzy, haven't you? Where are you going with this? The Fav's form is nothing special. In the next race, rather be on without a fight. Okay, a word for without a fight. Coming back off a break for Simon and Ed Crisford, who of course took the final race as we were signing off yesterday. It was as one in the, was it nursery? It was a nursery, wasn't it?
It was a nursery.
He's got to come back to his very best, this chap, but I suppose that the Al Arzi run doesn't look too bad in the context, does it?
No, that's the best run of his career, I think, isn't it? That's he's rated on that basis, and Alazi on his day is he's better than Group 3 level. He's a Group 2 horse at least. So yeah, he's got that going for him. He got smashed up by Albaflora next time and has to bounce back from that. But on that form alone, this is now a pretty ordinary Group 3 race, and he's not got much to find on a lot of these. You've got Yukon Glen, good old Yukon Glen, but and his. I still struggle with a horse like him to believe those things are real.
I sort of wanted to tip him in this. I haven't. I felt I was like, you have.
Why not? Why
okay, the Sandown.
You're giving it all that patronising. Oh, good old Yukon Glen.
That
bless
wasn't
his heart.
patronising.
That was him.
Okay.
Oh, bless him. He's
I
brilliant.
still can't believe those things happen, though.
He's a runner, mate. Don't worry about that. He's the street
He's Melrose,
fighter here.
patronising.
He's the street fighter. Go on, the Yukon Glen. But anyway, pray continue, Keith.
No, that's fine. I mean, he's a horse that just keeps turning up in these big races and running well, and it's now got the makeup of a race where he will run well again. His form is technically the best on offer here, and Alunak, he won a handicap, the Old Newton Cup, wasn't it, really, really well last time. And that behind those, you're looking at form that's not necessarily, stellar for Group 3 level, and it's quite an open race.
I wonder how the old Newton form's working out actually quite well. I think so. We've got
A lot of them run tomorrow in the Summer Cup. A lot of them run. It's a mile 6 race tomorrow. Because I've done the handicap figures on that today, and a lot of the figures aren't mine. They're all coming up and trip from the old Newton Cup.
Was my Frankel an absolute standout? I hope he was. That's my nap of the week, my Frankel.
Coming out top is Prince Alex, actually. Bottom weight.
I heard you and Rodway, and who else is on the call with you as well?
It's the BHA graduate this year, Toby.
They do this Friday morning Zoom call.
It's every morning. Every morning.
Is it every single?
Every weekday morning.
He's got to endure this every morning, Rodders. He's got to. All you can hear is numbers and Keith saying, "I'm not sure about that, lads."
Go and clean the toilets, please. Can I make some tea?
They get their handicapping caps on, or they must. Actually, I think now that you've sort of shaped him into this handicapping character, haven't you? Because you can tell he quite likes it.
He does. He loves all that stuff. Now, and
it's handicap time.
It's handicapping and harebrained schemes now for Rodway. He's nothing else. He's not, but he has really taken to it well. And we talk, basically those handicap meetings are talking about figures and which horses are ungenuine. And obviously that's not sort of things you can discuss in public. But we get together every morning and discuss the figures from how we should rate the days before races and how we're going to treat the horses. And
he even had a pair of glasses. He even had a pair of specs on. I've never seen him wearing specs before.
Who?
Rodway.
Oh, G-Rod. Yeah, no, I didn't know he did. Yeah.
Okay, so. Shall we give the Yukon Glen case then, rather than just saying that you like the horse? You think the Sandown form, in fairness...
All his tips today, I was saying that to him before we came on. Like, remember Marge Simpson in that one where she says, "Oh, can I just bet all the horses to have a nice time?"
A reference to... This is the editor. This is Tony Blair.
Can someone remind me the 20-1 shot that got placed in the previous race?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely bring it back. We like the head-to-heads here. So he's called you Marge Simpson somehow. But I see you are going for favourites today to a certain extent.
Shouldn't have happened back in the
Not
day.
actual... you went for one favourite that went down the Golden Mile.
Well, look, when you can... If I'm looking at the Racing Post now, and the betting forecast is 5-2 Mogul, 7-2 Yukon Glen. Mogul doesn't run, and Yukon Glen on Betfair is 7 and was 7.8 not so long ago. And since Mogul went out and there's 8 runners left, I've managed to back Yukon Glen each way with 4 places with one firm. I think that's an absolute dream. He's gritty, he's determined, he's quality. That run at Sandown's really good.
Each way 4 places is he's the sort of horse you'd love to back in that sort of market.
And you can rub your eyes and you can say, hang on a sec, Yukon Glen winning at Sandown that Thursday night, it didn't make sense, but it happened. And, he hasn't just done it once this season, he's done it twice. So I'm more than happy to back the old Yukon. I just think he's a street fighter and 4 places, 8 runners, yes, please.
And the handicapper has him down now as the best horse in the race. He's got a £3 penalty to carry. Wouldn't worry too much about that. He's got form of the likes of a Dave in defeat, isn't he? Top notch. And that Sandown form's been really cool watching him win from so far back, actually, isn't it? When some of the fancied horses like Stradivarius, not Stradivarius, Sangarius, sorry. Sort of falling in the hole. Yeah, he's been a great project. And you just get the feeling that Paul Morello, when he's going to the start on this, must be thinking to himself, win, lose or draw, old chap, this is going to be fun.
Who have you sussed, Dave?
I am going for Pablo Escobar.
It's the Keeley tip, isn't it?
Yes, he won the race last year, didn't he? But this is just definitely a stronger field, potentially, than what he beat last year. And he hasn't shown a great deal. But coming back to Goodwood is the key. He's 1-1-2 here. And he absolutely loves this place. The first time blinkers can fire him up. This was a sort of race where I was looking at Mogul and thinking, all right, but I don't want to pay to find out whether Mogul's going to come back to his absolute best.
Horrible horse to price up, wasn't he, Mogul, in that race?
Yeah,
so I wanted to take a bit of a chance. I think with William Buick on, is he now going for a 7th win? Must be, because he was on Swayzer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So he's had him in the week of weeks. Yeah, this is interesting for the jockey title as well, isn't it? Because he had that ban. He's kind of, come on, William, we want to see that narrative.
He's off for his life to win the jockey's title this year, isn't
Absolutely. Yes, he is. Unlike it was a late charge last time, wasn't it? And Oshie, again, maybe we'll talk about that on next week's show. We'll be back next Saturday, just to let you know as well. Small Matters of Shergar Cup coming up. That'll be fun to cover, if nothing else. And you can see you've got Osheen here on the Fav, Passion and Glory. Why does no one like him?
Just a bit too short, really. He certainly can win, but it's just really price, I think.
Yeah, and it's, people, there's an aversion to handicap from a little bit. Ray Dawson was on him last time when he won off 100, so he effectively won off 97 because we all know all about Ray Dawson stealing that £3. You've got horses with proper group form in here. And in terms of form, they're all a little bit first among equals, but there's others with a lot more solid form than him.
He has absolutely hosed up in his last 2 races. However, interestingly, He beat a horse called High Commissioner at Lingfield when he came back on Polytrack. He beat also that same horse on his debut in 2019. He was beaten by a horse called Away He Goes twice. He was obviously second in the Goodwood Cup. So what a novice stakes that was. Look, bred to be, isn't he?
I mean, the horse is
a surprise thing. I agree with Bruce.
And the horses behind him at Ascot as well. They've both been battered. The thing that finished
Fabulous,
second,
whatever,
that finished 20 lengths behind Nagano the other day.
Gave him £12 again for that. So it's almost like a Baid type.
That's the handicapper saying, I don't want to see you in a handicap again. Get out of my sight.
Be gone.
Get out of my sight.
Yeah.
Should we go through all the Racing Post tipsters? Normally it's £3.90 this, but we're going to give them to you for nothing. Tom Siegel, Eagle by Day. Paul Keeley, Pablo Escobar. Big Race Trends, Mogul. That's no good because that's not running. What else have we got? Anything from down here with the old X?
Who wrote the analysis? You can parse what they've backed normally from the analysis. It'll be earlier on.
And preview.
And Passion and Glory for Spotlight, which is Ben Hutton. So there you go. It's an open race. I'm just not sure any horse should be trading under 2-1 here. 2-1.
Okay, we've got to get your selection in this race before we move on.
I think Outbox keeps getting underestimated. He won that listed race that Logician was in at Newmarket, and he had been a massive price. He'd been about 10, 12 to 1 for that. He ended up going off sixes. And then he ran against Hookham at York, and Hookham is a good horse.
A name that keeps coming up.
There's a name that keeps coming up is obviously his brother's going to win a Group 1 mile race. But, Outbox he was relatively well prepared. He gave Hookham a little bit of a race in that one. Hookham is just too strong when the emphasis on speed at a mile 6. He's back to mile 4 now. He's not a superstar, but he is a good Group 3 mile-and-a-half horse. And once again, he's about 6 to 1, 13 to 2. His form is, within a couple of pounds of anything in the race. And they just keep underestimating him, and he'll be up in the front rank early doors.
Yes.
Holly Doyle will make sure he is not far off.
He's the only confirmed front runner in the race.
Yeah, she might get to dictate. So there's just an awful lot going for a horse that, if the connections were sexier, or if they had something else about him that was a little bit more alluring to people, I think he'd be 7 to 2. So because his form wouldn't suggest he needn't be that price.
They're not unfashionable connections though now, are they? Archie Watson and Holly Doyle?
No, they're not. But this horse just seems to be forgotten about. It's strange. I think it's because he's 6 and he's only just graduating
And
to
runs
this
a lot.
level.
And he's consistent. Sometimes consistency is almost not a turn-off, but it's kind of, you're looking in these races for the improver, aren't you?
Yes.
And the horse that's got a little bit under the bonnet.
Something that's not just going to run to its mark, but go way above it. Yeah.
He's only run like 18 times in his life. He's not heavily raced for a 6-year-old, and he's only had, this is his first year actually with Archie Watson. He used to be Simon Crisford.
Yes, of course. Who of course trains without a fight. Right, final race of the day. Let's get some final selections socially, shall we? Let's have a look. The Ginger Joe comes back and says, Eagle by Day, my nap. Okay.
Same as Tom.
Same as
Tom Siegel.
Yeah, Mr. Price-wise. Big effort this is needed, isn't it, to come back. Did Tom reason that this chap's in a race later on? Did he say something like he's in the Ebor or something, isn't he?
Was it?
Let's have a little look.
I'll
What he suits. I mean, he's a horse that.
He's in the Ebor, and
suits
Tom
his-
reasons that basically he won't be far off his best because it's only just round the corner, the Ebor.
Right.
That's Tom's argument. I think that's what he says, Bruce. I think
This horse he wins mile 6 races with a turn of foot, is what he sort of does, and I don't know if that's part of
it was York, wasn't it, on his comeback? So he can go
right.
well fresh, actually, can't he? He came back from. He has come back. So
Only 3 weeks, of course, to the Ebor. You going, Barry? Going to York this year?
I don't think so, Bruce.
Oh, is it still just too much of a faff getting over?
No, it's just kind of with everything that's happened in the last 18 months, it's kind of a new way of working. I feel I'm just a lot more productive if I'm doing the Racing Post live from here and I'm able to still engage with journalists and that. It just kind of makes sense for now to do it from the office here at home.
Sure, yeah.
So we're lucky enough to have Barry coming with us each and every day of this week and Saturdays as well. Let's get some more in. Fraser Thurlow comes on and says, Outbox, Holly. Second behind Hookham, let's go. You're with Melrose, as Graham calls you every time he comes on. It's almost like he's got a hyphen.
Or
Melrose.
a woman called Melanie Rose.
Why is the stress on the second syllable of that name? It's the only person
WhatsApp Keels last night about going.
He's the only person that's ever put the stress on the second syllable.
It's strange, isn't it? No, he does it like
Melrose.
You know what he's like. He gets something in his mind and he says Melrose like this. But I actually WhatsApp Keels last night and said, should we go for a bit of lunch tomorrow? And he said, yeah, I was just about to message you the same thing. I went, Mel Rose is in, as if your name was Melrose. So it's becoming a thing, watch out. This show, he's livid about that.
Absolutely fuming.
Can I give you a line on Swayzer, please, from Francois Rojar? And this is very interesting indeed. Not committing to the Nunthorpe. We'll see. More likely to go for the race on trials day leading into the Abbey, but we're not ruling anything out. Do you think that the Strawbridge might go, hang on a minute, the racing manager, we need to... Is it James Wigan, isn't it?
Yeah, not sure.
Strawbridge is the breeding supremo. Interesting. And Carl Wilkes, good to have you back, Carl. Foxtel, oh man, talk about projects. Foxtel isn't without a chance. I said the last time he ran, Carl, that I think they need to try and make the running with him at least. Please do something like that, because this is a horse that just, I don't think he really enjoys running. Do you know what I mean? He's like, oh, I love going down to the post. I love seeing the crowd. Love walking round. Yeah, the moment he comes out, he's so talented. This horse.
He's a talented horse.
He's not producing it.
Doesn't like racing much, does he?
No. We did hear from Barry, didn't we, about Baid, of course. He wasn't in the Sussex because when it closed, he hadn't run. So he thinks he's off that sort of material.
Oh, really?
That's the sort of standout line.
Would he have won?
When he put in
Sussex? Depends how he was ridden, because it was a real tactical
toyed
race.
with the idea of supplementing. Easy to say perhaps after the race. But when the rain came on Sunday night, I was very glad we hadn't. The entries for the QE2 close next week. It looked the obvious one after his last performance. So, but obviously France on the horizon as well. We're travelling again.
Have we heard about Batash? I've picked up a few things in the grapevine.
Go for
Batash.
Go for it.
Angus Gold says he was going to speak to the daughter, who is now obviously the sort of...
Oh, that could be it.
But it's looking like that's it.
Jim looked a little bit
We've
glum.
taken it out of the Nunthorpe betting.
Have you, Barry?
It looks like that's it for Batash.
Looks like he's going to be retired.
Oh, what a shame. The Great Warrior going out. If you're going to go out, I guess Goodwood's the place to do it, isn't it? Probably.
He did have that injury earlier in the spring, didn't he? So
he did, the setback.
Not take any chances. He, as they always say, he owes no one anything. What a career, what a star he's been. I mean, he's
remarkable.
You know that cliche about horses getting bored in a field?
Yeah.
Surely Batash is going to just go, he's going to hate it.
Yeah, he will. He'll need a milk round or something.
He did look uncharacteristically calm, didn't he?
He did actually, yeah. He'd be great, wouldn't he? Do you think anywhere in Britain there's a horse-drawn milk round? Wouldn't that be brilliant if you went out and straight? You said, "Oh, Ted."
Imagine if he was doing it.
It's Batash.
Retraining of racehorses to a whole new level there.
Yes, that's our charity, of course, this month. A reminder: if you've had a great week, play away. Give them some love. Our charities, of course. Barry's done. Let's have a word for Barry.
Who's the charity this week, by the way?
Retraining of racehorses.
Oh, brilliant!
It is in July. Barry has since the start. When we do the figures at the end of this year, Barry has knocked it out.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know. He's always very impressive.
He is remarkable. We had Posty in this week. We did his racing welfare for his cycle. He asked how much it was. He saw it and he went, "Whoa!"
Yeah, no, the amount Barry raised. Barry, what do you have in Ireland? Do you have an honours system? Do you have something similar to like OBEs like we have? Well, it's a simple question.
Got eggs. No, we don't.
You don't have anything like that. I mean,
there's always time for citizenship, Barry.
Mount Barry's won. He already qualified.
I'm not kidding. It has been a monumental effort, and we know that lots of people out there follow Barry, and they love. I mean, we all sort of laugh about the fact that I managed to get a 50 to 1 shot, 80 to 1 shot John Canoe, but Barry did it sort of on a lesser meeting with Dragon Bones. Do you remember Dragon Bones? Oh,
yeah.
She won that listed. 66 to 1 shots. Listen, Barry, we love you.
Quick one, lads. We know Barry would have tipped Mogul. What would you have done with him? I was lining up an almighty place lay. On the basis that
it is going, that's why he's not running by official.
These older Aidan horses, once they start declining, I'm struggling to think of any that come back. I'm really struggling.
Well, he's a horse that they might travel, I think. They'd probably take him back to Hong Kong, wouldn't they, sort of ignite him there. It all went wrong after Maidan, didn't it? They came back at Maidan.
Yeah, I thought he was going to win. I thought he had to win the Maidan
He just
race.
didn't. It can't just have been the ground of the Coronation Stakes, can it? This was the one I guess like they did with Japan at Leopardstown last time. So I find him a softer race and give him a break, maybe come back. I don't really know. A reminder, you've got up until Sunday, if you're not a member at the Racing Post and the Members Club, we do have an offer out there for you, 20% off for the rest of the year. It's good year. Type that in on your registration. If you want to sign up to the Racing Post, you get all the offers. I know we say it, we feel a little bit like QVC salesman, you said, but it is crazy not to take that up, right?
Incredible value, absolutely brilliant value. It's great value without the discount, with the discount. And while we're on adverts, can I just quickly put up a shout for next Wednesday's Racing Post, which has got the pre-season football guide, the big kickoff, which I now kind of oversee in my new role, and it's absolutely fantastic, so please don't miss that.
Yeah, we're coming up, aren't we? We're playing, Watford and Palace are playing in a friendly, aren't they? I've told all the boys to go out. Your new signing, Elise, we wanted him. Have him.
Well, I'm sure you always kick kick 7 bells out of Wilfried Zaha, so I'm sure that'll be the same.
That is not just us that do it. Look, Wilf, we can't wait to see you down at the ground and you get your customary yellow after 2 seconds and Harry the Hornet can do the time. I'm so glad we got that in. Actually, while we're having a laugh, how's the sweet spots going? Because there was another live version. We did plug you. It went really well, didn't it, for the Open? I don't know whether you saw that, Barry, but 4.5 hours he had to endure with Steve Palmer in 30-degree heat, the final round. It was crazy, but we loved it.
Oh, thanks. No, I really enjoyed doing it. I mean, Steve's just so unique. You never know what he's going to say.
We wanted him on this. Do you remember about a year ago? I said, can we get Palmer on this? You went, well, he just doesn't get horse racing.
He doesn't have a clue. No, he finds it the most bizarre thing.
Well, perhaps that's a reason to have him on.
But he loves all the sayings and the cliches.
Box of frogs, isn't he? But
completely.
Yeah.
But no, it was really good fun, and we may well try and do that again.
It's got to happen, isn't it?
Good fun.
Yeah, it's got to happen.
What would if you could pick a sporting event you had to do one of these things live for?
Well, that has got the brains ticking a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. I mean, racing's perfect for it, obviously, because you've got a huge gap and you've got plenty of time to have a good old chat. And I think, what we try and do on this show is do it a little bit differently and not...
Ryder Cup would be great.
Ryder Cup would be, and that's exactly what
Would you fancy a little zoom into something like that, Barry, or if we asked you?
Yeah, once you're watching
we're desperate for a sponsor, Barry, so please do join us, mate. You can be on it. You can be on the show.
Bruce, it's not a million
Honestly, mate.
It'll be him or Desperado.
Your guys talking to our guys.
Okay, mate. Well, I'd love to be doing Racing Post live on the Ryder Cup.
I'd zoom in. I'd be part of it. Absolutely.
You'd be hosting it.
I'm all over it. Listen, there's a thing. Can we possibly do that? Would you like to see it? Let us know. You had an incredible amount of comments about it, didn't you?
We did. It was brilliant.
Because bearing in mind it was in that heat. I mean, I tuned into it. They're going in for last, by the way. Just as Palmer had to go out and put water on his face.
Yeah, he did. He kept having to go out and splash water on him.
I watched that last round in a hot tub, A mate of mine had a hot tub and it's 40 degrees.
That was nice.
Yeah, in Australia they do that. When it's searing heat, get in the hot tub because it's like when you have a cup of tea, isn't it, or whatever.
But you actually had hot water.
Hot water. It's 40 degrees, yeah. I was like, you sure about this? He was like, come on, get in. We had a few beers watching the final round. Yeah, amazing.
Was the cold tap broken?
No, it was supposed to be hot.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. I can tell you what, the water level went down when I got it. Maybe that gave us a bit of airing, I don't know.
Right, almost all in for the Lawn Marin, I can't even say the sponsor. What chance have we got with the horses? Lawn Marin Queen's Plate, Gloria Stakes, Group 3 over 1.5 miles. And
Lawn Marin's a funny one. Is it Golden Sealer?
8 runners now. Hey?
Off we go.
We're off and running, and dropped out early on is Yukon Glen. Also giving them an early sighter is Eagles by Day. They're plodding along though, but up front it's Passion and Glory, being matched early doors by Outbox. There's no pace here, is there? Going 29 miles
Look at Yukon.
Yukon out
Look
the back.
at the Glen.
Pablo Escobar is in 3rd. Alunak is in 4th. In 5th, we've got Without a Fight alongside Foxtail. And then it's Eagles by Day. And then good old Yukon. He's sitting there, he's having a little look at them, and he's going to decide just when he's going to pass them all. Any early betting ripples, Barrington?
The favourite into 6-4 off the back of that prominence in the race. Without a Fight, 9-2-6-6. Yukon Glen hasn't shortened any. Outbox out to 8. Being taken on by the favourite.
Because he's not leading, right?
The expectation is, well, the only thing that's gone against expectation is that the favourite's led.
Going quick enough. I'm surprised he's leading here. This is a horse that's run once over 1.4 mile. He's up from 1.2 mile.
He's a bit keen, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm really surprised by this.
I think he's all right. I mean, he's not pulling the jockey's arms out. He's not flinging his head around. But
I thought he would be Pablo Escobar, basically, who's sitting in 3rd. I was certain to be just off it.
Well, there's a bit of a gap after Pablo Escobar. The front 3 have got a little bit of a break on the feet. Alunak.
I think they dawdled early, guys, and then all of a sudden he really put some speed in. Mulrennan
spotted it,
7th, and I think basically Mulrennan said, hang on a sec, we need to be up there a little bit closer. So they're still breasting the rise here, that long
Just put the anchor down now, Bruce.
And 4, yeah, he has. He's taking it back easy again. They're going back to 31 miles now as they level off at the top of the hill. It's Passion and Glory leading the way from Outbox, and on the inside Pablo Escobar making good ground on the outside Without a Fight. Then comes Alunak, and then we've got Foxtail, Yukon Glen, and out the back we've got Eagles by Day. I would say they've got 4.5 furlongs to run in our last race. Who's going to win from here, chaps?
Look at Yukon Glen. I think he wins.
Travel just about, doesn't it?
I think he wins. It all depends whether
they all have to get to the one in front, don't they?
Yeah, how much has he saved? That's the question.
Muscle, and he's even money. He's even money.
Yeah, 2's on there.
2's on. Passion
Is that
Glory,
Foxtail?
So it's Passion and Glory. Sheen Murphy still hasn't moved a muscle.
Foxtel's coming, I'll tell you, if he gets
down
a
the
run.
outside.
He's not going to get a run. I know run.
But the favourite is going really well. Yukon's trying to get there as they enter the final furlong.
There.
It's Passion and Glory who leads from Yukon Glen. Can you, Yukon?
He's going to do
Can
it.
you, Yukon?
Go on,
Can
Paul.
you, Yukon?
Yes.
Half a furlong to go.
Come on, Bruce.
And
Yukon wins. Come on, Yukon. Foxtel.
Here comes Foxtel. Yukon Glen.
Passion Glory on the other side.
Go on, Yukon.
Mother of pearl! I think the far side might have just got back up as they were split between the width of the track.
He was never headed, was he?
I thought he definitely got headed, didn't he?
He probably wasn't, Barry. How short did Yukon go? Go on, twist the knife into me, mate.
Yukon Glen traded a low of 118 for 418 quid, so 13 to 2 on. And the other horse that was there was Foxtel, traded low 1.75.
Best bit about that finish.
Winners won a neck or half a length.
Carl Wilkes was getting excited there. I was disparaging about him, Carl. He's a nutter, but fair play.
No
Good
question.
place bet, I hope you
Best
had.
thing about that finish was Foxtel throwing his head in the air when he thought he might win.
And we thought we had it, Bruce. The old veteran. We got POTUS thought he had it there, didn't
We
he?
got
That was it.
far too carried away. You're right, Barry. He was never actually in front, was he?
I thought he was going to do it because he just finishes hard, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what, seriously, you know why I love him. You know why loads of people...
He's giving him
so
£3
brilliant,
there
isn't
as
he?
well, guys.
He's an absolute belter of a horse, isn't he? Just
I'm
brilliant.
just going to watch Foxtel. This is absolutely glorious. Foxtel gets through and then he
Hopelessly
throws. Look
boxed
at
in.
it.
Look how unlucky
It's
he is.
regal. It's magnificent.
Glorious.
Look how unlucky Foxtel is.
Well,
It's absolutely horrific passage
He's
there.
had his
Look.
chance, though,
Oh,
hasn't he?
no, come on. This is
Watch.
outrageous.
How's his chance?
He's got absolutely butchered all the way
Yeah,
up.
but look,
the running.
listen,
And
now
he
he
gets
Now we
daylight.
go and win your
He's
race,
got the
Fox.
daylight.
Go and win it. Oh, no. Head goes higher somehow.
Yuck.
Yes, it does. He's like a giraffe, isn't he?
Oh, you
He's
dirty
like a
dog.
giraffe there.
Yeah, he absolutely
It's
is.
good
He
performance
hates
by
it.
the win. Oisin Murphy's dictated on the front, dictated the pace, and he's won it. And if you've backed the favourite, well done. But,
Yukon Glen, listen, Passion Glory confirms himself a group horse. Absolutely, Oisin Murphy, decent ride. Went hard early, attained them, stacked them up, went again.
It was a good ride.
It was a good ride. And Yukon Glen giving him £3. Emerges as the best horse at the race. We know that. I bet they have a tilt at the International with Yukon.
I hope they do. Yeah,
I bet they will.
Why not?
Got to.
Yeah, why not? Why not? He's such
14
a
from 20 for the Ebor.
Is he? Oh, I'd love him to win that.
What's he going to be on that? 116.
Oh, I'd love that.
That was I'll tell you what, some 110 horses will be praying that he runs, won't they? Some like,
No, it doesn't go higher than one. He gets,
doesn't it? Okay.
No, he gets more because it's what
oh,
happens.
he gets the
with
10 stone.
Trushan.
Yeah,
That's what happened
James
with
Millman's
Trushan.
talking about that. You're right. Okay, that is it. Race down. Fav wins the last. I hope you were with. What an exciting race that was. It's been a great day. Barry, one more day to go. We're on the eve of it. It's Friday night. Go steady now, man.
Yeah, the stamina's kicking in now, Dave. I'm at the bottom of the hill and I'm just beginning to kick in. But a great day. Thanks, Bruce, and thanks, Keith, for doing those trades the last couple of days. Top man.
Cheers,
Brilliant
Barry.
stuff from Barry. Barry will be back with us 1:30 tomorrow. Bruce, it's always an absolute pleasure. We don't see enough of you these
I've
days.
missed it. They've given me this proper job now that involves work and spreadsheets.
You've brought it on yourself, man.
I know. Do you know what? I might jack it all in and come work with you again, Dave, because it's always the most fun of the week.
Yeah, listen, and absolutely, it's great to have you on. We go on such tangents with the man, Keith. Great doubleheader. You usually do these doubleheaders as well. How's the stamina? Are you ready for a beer now?
Oh yeah, they're in the fridge.
They're in the.
Don't you worry about that.
All right, okay. So there's 2 more races to come after racing. Of course, we've got feature show with you this evening as well. Don't forget, though, we'll be back tomorrow for the final day. It's Stewards Cup Day, 1:30 here on RP Live.